Chapter 1751. The city lord was not an idiot when he heard the elder suddenly mention Lord Bai. He understood what the elder was implying very soon. "Elder, you want me to support Lord Bai with all my strength? This brat has talent, but he is too arrogant. Don't think that I don't know that he has always looked down on our human race. Last time, the incident at the temple was also caused by him," the trial city lord said with a cold gaze. Sensing that the city lord was displeased with Lord Bai, the elder immediately bowed and apologized. "City lord, Lord Bai is a little arrogant, but he's still young. There's still time for him to change. Moreover, Lord Bai is already an elite nurtured by the Empyrean God Hall. City lord, you come from the Empyrean God Hall as well. I believe that you're displeased with Lord Bai, so you should support him with all your strength." The light in the city lord's eyes flickered. After weighing the pros and cons, he nodded coldly in the end. "Speak. What does Lord Bai want to do now? As long as it's not too big of a matter, I can cooperate." After testing the martial soul tablet, Yi Fei returned to Zhou Chang's residence and directly entered seclusion, preparing for the upcoming trial battle. This was something that every cultivator who accepted the summons had to go through. Only cultivators who successfully passed the trial battle had the right to enter the true battlefield of humans and take part in the war against the Magi. "Young Master Yi, there's still around 3 years until the next trial battle. If you need anything during this time, feel free to tell me. I'll definitely get it done for you." Ever since he discovered that Yi Fei had made it to the top of the imperial rankings and had even crushed everyone else, Zhou Chang's attitude changed drastically. Not only did he no longer fear Yi Fei, but he even voluntarily went from Brother Zhou to Little Brother Zhou. He had made up his mind to cling onto Yi Fei's leg and not let go. Yi Fei did not reject Zhou Chang's attempt to get close to him. Firstly, he did need a quiet place to cultivate for 3 years. Secondly, he needed Zhou Chang's identity as a local tyrant to help him find information about Zhao Yu and Lu Qing. Therefore, after instructing Zhou Qiang to exchange for a large pile of spirit stones, enough to feed Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle for 10 years, Yi Fei directly entered the spirit pagoda and began a long period of seclusion. He did not aim to break through to the martial emperor realm during this closed-door cultivation. He only hoped to master a few more immemorial heavenly techniques. It was worth mentioning that Yi Fei had finally mastered the heavenly venerate technique, the 8th-level heavenly dragon, after successfully condensing the swamp realm. However, Yi Fei had only mastered the first move of the octopole celestial dragon. Currently, he could only control 4 primordial celestial arts. Even so, when Yi Fei used 3 years to cultivate the dragon suppressing the 9 heavens and the holy ice art, the power of his 8 extreme heavenly dragon also increased. It had risen to an inconceivable level. Now, even without the assistance of the limitless sword, I can still fight against a martial emperor. With the limitless sword, even if I face a fully recovered limitless sword deity, I have the confidence to defeat him. Yi Fei was very excited. However, when he saw that the spirit pagoda had been completely depleted of spirit energy, Yi Fei felt depressed. Although he still had more than 500 spirit veins in the spirit pagoda, he did not directly refine the spirit veins. He only absorbed the spirit energy naturally emitted by the spirit veins. Even the spirit energy gathered by 1,000 spirit veins was not enough for Yi Fei to absorb, let alone 500 spirit veins. Yi Fei walked the path of despair. This was a path of death and a path that burned money. He had spent 1,000 spirit veins to integrate the power of despair 7 times. To integrate the power of despair 8 times, Yi Fei might not be able to gather 10,000 spirit veins even if he sold everything he had. Moreover, he had 2 big spenders on spirit stones by his side. By the way, I have been in seclusion for 3 years. I wonder how Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle are doing. When Yi Fei entered the spirit pagoda, he had placed Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle in the room. In any case, he had set up a restriction around the area. Even if Zhou Qiang had 10 times the courage, he would not dare to walk in and see what was going on in the courtyard. Therefore, the first thing Yi Fei did after he finished cultivating was to go out and see how the dragon turtle and Xiao Qiao were doing. In the end, when Yi Fei went out, he was shocked. Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle had eaten until their bellies were round and they were lying on the ground, basking in the sun. Xiao Qiao burped from time to time and rubbed his bloated belly. He had a very distressed look on his face. The dragon turtle was propped up on the ground and could not even crawl anymore. It was so fat that it looked like a black charcoal ball. Yi Fei almost did not recognize that it was actually a turtle. Yi Fei's face was instantly filled with grief. He walked over and kicked the dragon turtle away like a rubber ball. "Big Black, it's fine if you are greedy, but you even brought Xiao Qiao along with you. Those are 10 years' worth of spirit stones. In the end, you finished them all in 3 years. Xiao Qiao expressed her confusion. Then, she angrily told Yi Fei that it was the dragon turtle who told her that these spirit stones had to be finished in 3 years. If she did not finish them, Yi Fei would not give her any more spirit stones to eat. Therefore, Xiao Qiao ate very hard. It was also very difficult for her. Finally, within 3 years, she managed to accumulate a mountain of spirit stones. It was very difficult for her to finish them all. As she spoke, Xiao Qiao could not help but let out a very loud burp. The dragon turtle knew that it was in trouble. It quickly found a metal chain and wanted to retract its bloated belly. Unfortunately, the dragon turtle was too bloated this time and could not even tie the metal chain. With a bang, the fat on the dragon turtle's belly broke the metal chain. Then, the fat on the dragon turtle's belly fell to the ground with a loud bang. This time, even Xiao Qiao could not bear to watch anymore. She quickly covered her eyes with her hand. Yi Fei's face was as black as iron. However, he quickly smiled again. He gently patted the dragon turtle's head and comforted it. "Big Black, if you can't continue pretending, then don't pretend anymore. It's almost the new year anyway. Don't feel burdened. You must eat and sleep more. The fatter you are, the better it will be for the new year." Roar! The dragon turtle's face was full of surprise. It did not understand what Yi Fei meant. It was Xiao Qiao who reacted and secretly told the dragon turtle that it would be easier to slaughter it for the new year. The dragon turtle was so frightened that its face turned ashen. It did not need anyone to urge it. It was already doing its best and rolling on the ground to train. This scene scared Zhou Qiang so much that he almost fainted again. It was only when he saw that it was not a black ball of charcoal rolling on the ground, but a dragon turtle that Zhou Qiang came back to his senses. Then, he quickly said, "Young Master Yi, the trial battle has already begun. I came in to inform you. I didn't mean to see you." Obviously, Zhou Qiang also knew that Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle were secrets that Yi Fei did not want others to know. Zhou Qiang's face immediately turned pale with fright when he accidentally saw them. Yi Fei was also very depressed. Only now did he realize that the sound of him kicking the dragon turtle was a little loud. It actually alarmed Zhou Qiang, who was outside. "Now that you have discovered my secret, I will leave you with a choice. Make a soul oath. It just so happens that I am lacking a follower." "What? A soul oath?" Zhou Qiang was in a difficult position. Once he made a soul oath, it would be impossible for him to rebel in the future. Chapter 1752. The trial battle was the most important test in the entire trial city. Only by passing the test would the warriors who had been summoned gain the qualifications to enter the human tribe's battlefield. At the same time, the content of the trial battle was different in different trial cities. Thus, on the way to the trial battle, Zhou Qiang began to explain the specific content of the trial battle to Yi Fei. "Young Master Yi, the trial battle here is actually very simple. It is to break through the array. As long as we can last for 10 days in the array, we will pass the test and gain the qualifications to enter the human tribe's impregnable pass. That means that the trial battle here is actually an array formation test. That's right, what kind of array formation is inside? Yi Fei asked curiously. As if recalling something, Zhou Qiang said with some trepidation, "It's the battle spirit array. Once the trial battle begins, these arrays will automatically condense a special battle spirit. As long as we can last for 10 days under the attack of the battle spirit and not die, we will pass the test." "What if I kill the battle spirit?" Yi Fei continued to ask. "Then not only will you pass the test, but you will also be able to cross over to other battle spirit arrays and kill more battle spirit. Once you obtain more battle spirits, you will also gain the opportunity to enter the battle spirit space." Zhou Qiang looked at Yi Fei with some envy. "However, it is not that easy to cross over to kill battle spirits. Every time you cross over to an array formation, you will be attacked by the array formation. The more arrays you cross over, the stronger the attack will be. Furthermore, you cannot guarantee that the battle spirit inside the array formation you cross over to has not been killed by others. In short, unless you are a heaven-defying monster like you, even a peerless genius would not dare to cross over to battle." Zhou Qiang's explanation was very detailed. Not only did he explain the pros and cons of crossing over to Yi Fei, he also explained the battle spirit space. It turned out that the battle spirit space was the remnant souls of martial gods after they died in battle. These souls were extremely dangerous and did not have any consciousness. However, these battle spirits also had a huge advantage. That was that each battle spirit contained the remnant laws of the martial god when they were alive. As long as one could defeat the battle spirit and refine the remnant laws within, the cultivator would have a great chance of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. From this point, it could be said that the City of Trials actually encouraged ancient martial art practitioners to fight across arrays and kill more fighting spirit. Thus, he would be qualified to enter the fighting soul space. Yi Fei even suspected that the main purpose of the trial battles was to screen out those powerful martial artists who could fight across arrays. Of course, this was just Yi Fei's conjecture. He didn't have time to verify it. Just as he was chatting with Zhou Qiang, an incomparably huge teleportation array appeared in the sky above the trial city, directly enveloping all the cultivators present. At this time, the trial city lord was standing beneath the massive transmission array like a high and mighty emperor, overlooking the numerous martial artists. When he saw Yi Fei, the trial city lord's eyes flashed imperceptibly. Then, when he saw Zhou Qiang, the trial city lord revealed a meaningful sneer. "Everyone, it's time for the once-in-a-decade trial battle. This city lord won't say anything unnecessary. Life and death are up to fate, riches and honor are up to the heavens. Whether or not you can come out of the trial battle alive, break through to martial emperor and martial god, and fight for the human race in the future, that will depend on your own abilities. Now, the trial battle has officially begun." Boom! The heavens and earth shook as the array opened, forming a special door. With his experience in the array faction, Yi Fei knew that these were array doors. Once a martial artist entered the array door, they would be transported to a killing array with fighting spirit. As for whether or not they could withstand it, that would depend on the martial artist's own abilities. "Young Master Yi, save me. I've offended the city lord too much. In this trial battle, he will definitely make things difficult for me." Zhou Qiang didn't have any abilities, but he was very observant. Even though they were tens of thousands of meters apart, Zhou Qiang still caught a glimpse of the sneer on the city lord's face. Zhou Qiang suddenly had the urge to wet his pants. Yi Fei was speechless as he looked at Zhou Qiang. "I'm here. What are you afraid of? At most, you can enter the same array door as me. I'll guarantee that you'll pass." Zhou Qiang had been waiting for Yi Fei to say this. He immediately hugged Yi Fei's arm and refused to let go. "Master, you said it yourself. From now on, I'll follow you. If you dare to touch me again, I swear that even if the city lord doesn't kill you, I'll kill you. Yi Fei's face darkened and he felt a chill run down his spine. If it weren't for the fact that this wasn't the right place, he would have had the urge to drag Zhou Qiang out and beat him to death. However, Zhou Qiang's words reminded Yi Fei that he had offended the city lord and Lord Bai. He had to be careful in this trial battle. Yi Fei wasn't in a hurry to choose an array door. Instead, he suddenly looked at the small number of foreign tribes in the crowd. Among them, he saw Lord Bai. Lord Bai was still arrogant. When he felt Yi Fei's gaze, he didn't hide the murderous intent in his eyes. However, Lord Bai didn't look for trouble with Yi Fei. He also didn't choose the same array door as Yi Fei. Instead, he chose a random array door and walked in. Most of the foreign tribes did the same. After all, they were participating in the trial battle, and they were just going through the motions. Secretly, these foreign tribes all had a protective amulet on them that could protect them from the attacks of the fighting souls. They could pass the test easily. This was the unspoken rule of the trial battle. Of course, the preferential treatment was one thing. If these foreign tribes wanted to enter the fighting soul space, they would still have to fight across arrays and kill more fighting souls. In this way, their protective amulets would lose their effectiveness. City Lord, Lord Bai is ready. This time, whether or not Lord Bai can defeat the other heroes and obtain 10 fighting souls and become the #1 person in the Tiger tribe, we will need your help. Seeing that most of the warriors on the square had already entered the array door, an elder of the Tiger tribe came to the front of the trial city master and quietly presented him with a pearl. That pearl was the earthly spirit pearl, which could allow one to transform into a half-step demon. Not long ago, the Tiger tribe had brought this pearl to 2 trial cities, hoping that they would take care of Lord Bai so that he could complete the glorious feat of crossing 10 rank. It would also be easier for him to capture the real martial god fighting soul in the fighting soul space. However, it was a pity that the 2 city lords had rejected them. In the end, the Tiger tribe had found the trial battle city lord through their relationship with the Wings tribe. They had also successfully persuaded the trial battle city lord to give Lord Bai some pointers for a few days. This earthly spiritual pearl was obviously a token of appreciation for the city lord's pointers. Seeing that there was no one around, the trial battle city lord accepted it with a smile. Ha ha! Ha ha, well said. Lord Bai, this child, is still talented. In fact, with his strength, crossing 10 ranks is not too big of a problem. Haha, this is also because of the city lord's pointers. That's right, city lord, I heard that not long ago in the temple, there were 2 people, especially one called Zhou Qiang, who not only ignored our Tiger tribe, but also went against the city lord in front of everyone. That matter has seriously affected our Tiger tribe and your prestige. Name. Chapter 1753. After passing through the array door, a huge space appeared in front of Yi Fei. There were mountains, rivers, and plants nearby. If he had not known beforehand, no one would have believed that such a peaceful environment was actually a terrifying killing array. Furthermore, there were a total of 10 of these killing arrays. They were separated from each other by restrictions. Once a warrior wanted to cross the array, these restrictions would be activated, creating a huge restriction pressure on the warrior. The more arrays a warrior crossed, the greater the pressure would be. Therefore, most warriors would not choose to cross the arrays easily. They would only target the fighting souls that were about to appear in their respective arrays. After all, even if one did not cross the array, killing the fighting souls was still considered a reward. Before Yi Fei and Zhou Qiang entered, this killing array had already been occupied by a small faction among the warriors. Brothers and sisters, the fighting soul of this killing array will be taken by the heavenly demon continent. Please give us some face. As long as you stay at the back, we will guarantee that you will pass today's test. What surprised Yi Fei was that the people who wanted the fighting soul of this killing array were actually warriors from the heavenly demon continent. There were both old and young people among them. However, their auras were all very strong. The weakest one had 3 heaven-level domains. The middle-aged warrior who spoke had 5 heaven-level domains. Such a domain was something that only half evildoers could achieve. Yi Fei could not help but think highly of this person. I did not expect to meet warriors from the heavenly demon continent. I wonder if Master, the Demon Emperor, has not left after returning to the heavenly demon continent, or has he also come to the human battlefield? Yi Fei shook his head. Just as many warriors were retreating, only he continued to lead Zhou Qiang towards the core of the array. The group of heavenly demon continent warriors immediately noticed Yi Fei. It's Zhou Qiang? On account of Zhou Jingyi's title, we will not make things difficult for you. You should also retreat quickly. Otherwise, if you provoke us, we will kill you no matter how righteous you are. A few heavenly demon continent warriors had already released an extremely strong killing intent. Hearing Zhou Jingyi's name, Zhou Qiang was also disgusted. He immediately said with a black face, I think it's you who should retreat. If you don't want to die, get out of the way immediately. My lord wants the fighting soul of this killing array. Zhou Qiang pointed at Yi Fei. Many warriors from the heavenly devil continent looked at Yi Fei in surprise. Do you want to challenge the fighting souls here by yourself? That's right, I'm alone. For the sake of my master, I don't want to attack you. Please leave. Yi Fei's words were very polite. Even though the other side had the advantage in numbers, at his level of strength, numbers were not of much use. Yi Fei was also speaking the truth. However, when these words fell into the ears of those who did not know his strength, they sounded as arrogant as they could be. The middle-aged man, who was the leader of the heavenly devil continent, suddenly burst out with a furious look. He said sternly, shameless boasting. You haven't even grown out your hair and you dare to be arrogant in front of me? I think you're courting death. 5 realms fall. As he spoke, he had already made a move to kill. He actually intended to kill Yi Fei directly to establish his dominance. Yi Fei's face suddenly changed. 5 realms fall? What's your relationship with the Demon Crown Prince? The Demon Crown Prince is my nephew. Since you know the Demon Crown Prince, you still dare to go against me. Kneel down and accept your death. Roar. Before the man could finish speaking, just as he was about to make a move, a human and beast shadow that was shining with golden light suddenly jumped out of the void. This was the special fighting soul condensed by the killing array. When the fighting soul appeared, it rushed directly toward the warriors from the heavenly devil continent who were closest to it. The person who made the first move became the fighting soul's first target. Everyone only saw a golden beast shadow rushing toward the other party. The other party's entire body, along with the 5 realms fall, exploded. Oh my God, how is this possible? The fighting soul of this killing array is actually at the martial emperor level. Zhou Qiang cried out in fear. Not only Zhou Qiang, but most of the warriors who felt the aura of the fighting soul also cried out in fear. The warriors from the heavenly devil continent who had originally blocked the front and planned to join forces to hunt down the fighting soul were now crying for their parents and fleeing in all directions. No one had the courage to face this fighting soul. It was a martial emperor fighting soul. Yi Fei even saw that there were 2 timid female warriors who were so scared that they couldn't help but cry. Martial emperor fighting soul, how can it be a martial emperor fighting soul? This is not a test at all. This is clearly sending us to our deaths. Help, I beg you, please save me. In the sky, there were panicked cries for help from the warriors from the heavenly devil continent who were fleeing for their lives. Unfortunately, in the face of a martial emperor-level fighting soul, most of them were already scared out of their wits. They desperately ran toward the array door, hoping to avoid being hunted down by the martial emperor fighting soul. Yi Fei also quickly understood what had happened from the chaos. Zhou Qiang, did martial emperor fighting souls appear in the previous trial battles as well? No, in the past trial battles, at most, half-step demon-level quasi-emperor fighting souls appear. It is impossible for a martial emperor fighting soul to appear. I know this is a conspiracy. The city lord is deliberately framing us. Zhou Qiang was not a fool. He quickly realized what had happened. Yi Fei also nodded with an ugly expression. Only now did he understand the meaning of the sneer that flashed across the trial city before he entered. It was obvious that the fighting soul of the killing array would not suddenly increase in rank, unless someone had deliberately raised the fighting soul of the killing array from a quasi-emperor to a martial emperor. Young Master Yi, what should we do? Zhou Qiang was so frightened that he had the urge to hug Yi Fei again. Scram to the back and watch the show. Yi Fei's face darkened. Without waiting for Zhou Qiang to make a move, he kicked Zhou Qiang into the distance. His action had successfully saved Zhou Qiang's life. This was because, while he was talking to Zhou Qiang, the martial emperor fighting soul had already killed all the warriors from the heavenly devil continent in front of them. At the same time, a terrifying black aura that was as black as a demon covered the sky and the sun. It was already heading toward Yi Fei to devour him. Seeing this, Yi Fei's expression turned grave. He then took a deep breath. Before the fighting soul could devour him, the 9 great heaven-level domains in his body had already exploded. Finally, they formed a whistling domain divine sword that shattered the void and tore the heavens and the earth apart. It also tore the fighting soul apart. Roar. Chapter 1754. Boom. Boom. Suddenly, there was an explosion of dazzling sword radiance. The sword radiance was like a whistling nebula that filled the entire sky and shrouded the entire killing array. At that moment, many martial artists were already hiding at the entrance of the array. They huddled together and were ready to risk their lives to protect themselves. Then, they saw an unforgettable scene. There is actually someone who is able to suppress a martial emperor fighting soul as an emperor-to-be. Oh my God, I must be dreaming. What do you mean by dreaming? Open your eyes and look carefully. This is not a dream. It is real. This is great. To be able to suppress a martial emperor fighting soul, this person must be a legendary demon. Oh my God, which continent is he from? Why have we not heard of him before? I know him. His name is Yi Fei. Oh yes, I remember now. He is the ferocious man who almost fought with Lord Bai at the temple 3 years ago. Boom! Before the martial artists could finish their discussion, the entire sky suddenly shook violently. Everyone lifted their heads to look at the sky and revealed a look of shock and disbelief. Oh my God, this Yi Fei is too ferocious. He actually destroyed the martial emperor fighting soul. It is not just the fighting soul. Even the killing array could not withstand his sword radiance. Look, he seems to want to cross the array. What? Cross the array? If one was not an absolute genius, who would dare to cross the array? However, this scene had happened before everyone's eyes. After using the infinite sword to destroy the fighting soul, Yi Fei had half a black token in his hand. He knew that this was the fighting soul token to enter the fighting soul space. As long as he could gather a complete token, he would have the opportunity to enter the fighting soul space and use the martial god fighting soul to break through to the martial emperor realm. However, a killing array would at most give him half a fighting soul token. If he wanted to obtain the complete fighting soul token, he would have to cross the array. Yi Fei did not hesitate. The moment he kept the fighting soul token, he slashed out with his sword and smashed the void. He directly broke through the killing array and entered a wider space. In this space, Yi Fei saw 10 different doors. These doors were the entrances to other formations. Once he entered them, he would be able to enter another formation and continue to slay battle spirits to acquire the battle spirit badge. However, it was not that easy to enter these formation doors. These 9 formation doors were all set up with very powerful martial god restrictions. As long as one barged in, they would be suppressed by the restrictions. Which array gate should I choose? It would be great if I could choose the area where Lord Bai is. Unfortunately, these array gates can not only block divine thoughts, but also block Xiao Chao's ability to sense spiritual energy. As for whether I can meet Lord Bai or not, it will depend on my luck. Yi Fei shook his head and suddenly rushed towards the nearest formation door. Boom! After discovering that someone was crossing the formation, an extremely horrifying martial deity might suddenly burst out from the formation. It was like a mountain pressing down on Yi Fei. Battle Demon Sect, hold on! Open the formation door! Yi Fei shouted. Suddenly, his body flashed with a golden light. At the same time, he lifted the infinite sword and slammed it forward. Immediately, a huge hole was created in the formation door. When Yi Fei passed through the hole, he had already arrived at a world that was as hot as a desert. Countless warriors were sitting cross-legged in the desert, peacefully cultivating. There were no conflicts, nor were there any battles with the fighting spirit. However, when they felt the fluctuations in the sky, many of them subconsciously lifted their heads and shouted in shock, "It can't be. Besides Lord Bai, there is actually someone else who can cross the formation? What, Lord Bai? Damn, I'm too late. The fighting spirits here have already been killed by Lord Bai," Yi Fei said gloomily. The trial city was not small, but it was not big either. Since he could cross the formation, others could definitely do so as well. However, Yi Fei felt that he was unlucky. The killing formation that he had entered was one that others had already crossed. Yi Fei immediately felt a certain amount of pressure in his heart. After all, there were only 10 killing formations here. As long as there were 5 people who had the strength to cross the formation and had killed 2 battle spirits before him, he would not have the chance to collect the tokens needed to enter the battle spirit space. Thinking of this, Yi Fei did not have time to talk to these martial artists. He just rushed forward as fast as he could. He broke through the barrier and charged towards another killing formation. Seeing that Yi Fei was going to continue crossing the formation, the martial artists who were cultivating in the desert were all in an uproar. He actually wants to cross the formation? If this person is not crazy, then he must have absolute confidence in his own strength. Such a genius should not be a nobody. Who is he? I know him. His name is Yi Fei. He seems to be Zhou Jingyi's little brother. What, Zhou Jingyi? That Zhou Qiang who pissed his pants in fright and dared to publicly accuse the city lord of being muddle-headed and incompetent? That's strange. Didn't Zhou Qiang specialize in deceiving newcomers? When did he have such guts? And he even took in such a terrifying little brother? Some of the martial artists who had been deceived by Zhou Qiang were very surprised. Many of them were eager to try and follow him to see what was going on. However, when they saw the newly formed barrier on the array door and the terrifying aura of a martial god emanating from within the barrier, everyone chose to retreat. After all, they only needed to cultivate here for 10 days to pass the test. There was no need to take the risk of crossing the formation and risking their lives to fight for the 2 tokens. At this time, those who dared to cross the formation consecutively were true experts. For example, Yi Fei had already crossed 5 killing formations consecutively. As he had crossed the formations consecutively, the aura of a martial god on his body had reached a terrifying level of 50 times. When Yi Fei crossed the 6th killing formation and entered the array door, the terrifying aura that wrapped around his body crushed the void that he was standing in. However, what made Yi Fei extremely depressed was that the fighting spirits of the killing formation were still killed by someone. What made Yi Fei even more furious was that the person who had killed the fighting spirits was the same person, Lord Bai. That's strange. Doesn't one need a fighting spirit order to enter the fighting spirit space? Looking at Lord Bai, it seems like he wants to take all the fighting spirit orders. There must be a reason behind this. The more he thought about it, the more depressed Yi Fei became. He knew that if this continued, he would fall behind and all the tokens would be taken by Lord Bai alone. Young Master Yi, if you want to catch up with Lord Bai, why don't you head to the furthest killing formation? You might be able to stop him in advance. At this time, a senior heaven-grade quasi-emperor suddenly sent a voice transmission to Yi Fei secretly. As the pressure around Yi Fei was too terrifying, the senior martial artist's voice transmission was somewhat intermittent. However, his words reminded Yi Fei that if he followed Lord by step, he would only fall behind. Rather than that, he might as well head to the furthest killing formation and try his luck. Perhaps he might be able to beat Lord Bai. Senior, thank you, Yi Fei said gratefully. Chapter 1755. The killing array of the trial battle had a different environment. When Yi Fei first entered the killing array, it was a desert. Soon, it became hills, seas, and mountains. However, when Yi Fei rushed into the furthest killing array, he found that it was actually a closed circular valley. Countless martial artists were fighting around the valley. In the middle of the valley, there was a killing array. There was a killing array fighting soul with the head of a bull and the body of a human. It raised its head and roared, trampling all the martial artists who came close to it. This fighting soul was not a martial emperor fighting soul. It was only an emperor-to-be fighting soul. This was also the reason why Lord Bai could quickly cross the array and kill the fighting soul. However, Lord Bai's luck was not very good. By the time he arrived at the killing array, there were already people who had joined forces to beat up the war spirit. If he had arrived a little later, the war spirit might have been given to someone else. This made Lord Bai extremely angry. He immediately rushed into the battle. However, he did not attack the fighting soul, but the martial artists who were besieging the fighting soul. Oh no, it's Lord Bai. How many arrays has he crossed? How can the pressure on his body be so terrifying? Boom. Lord Bai did not need to use his martial arts skills. Just the huge pressure from his array had caused the surrounding martial artists to turn pale. One of the unlucky martial artists was directly crushed by the pressure and was seriously injured. The unluckier one was trampled to death by the fighting soul with the head of a bull. His companions were so angry that their eyes turned red. Lord Bai, you have gone too far. Not only did you steal our fighting souls, you also killed our companions. Ha ha, you have gone too far. A group of human tribe trash. You are not as skilled as others. You deserve to die. I will give you 3 breaths to get out of my way. All the fighting souls in this killing array belong to me. Lord Bai laughed wildly. In his eyes, killing a human tribe martial artist was as easy as walking. It was no different from trampling an ant on the ground. Lord Bai's words enraged all the warriors present. After all, this was the battlefield of the human tribe. Even if the foreign tribes were strong, the human tribe warriors still made up the majority. When they saw that Marquis Bai had killed someone, not only did he not apologize, but also insulted him. Several young warriors were thoroughly enraged. They were not convinced and immediately rushed forward, wanting to join forces to attack Marquis Bai. Marquis Bai suddenly sneered. Without saying anything, he had already let out a tiger roar, shaking all directions. Along with this roar, the few martialists who had attacked all had their throats crushed by the divine tiger's claw. They couldn't help but widen their eyes as they died an unnatural death. Do you see this? This is the consequence of going against me, Lord Bai. How dare a bunch of trash from the human race try to attack me? What a joke. Lord Bai retracted his blood-stained tiger claws. Without looking at the corpses on the ground, he was about to kill the struggling bull-headed fighting soul. At this moment, Yi Fei also crossed the array and saw this scene. It's just a fight for the fighting souls, but Lord Bai killed so many people. Oh no, I can't let Lord Bai kill that fighting soul. Otherwise, I won't have the chance to enter the fighting soul space. Kill. The ultimate sword. Without any time to think, Yi Fei activated the Great Void technique. Not only did he rush to the side of the fighting soul, but he also directly slashed the fighting soul into pieces. Compared to a martial emperor fighting soul, Yi Fei could kill a quasi-emperor fighting soul with a single slash. He didn't give Lord Bai any chance to intervene. It's you, damn it, I didn't look for you. How dare you cross the array and fight with me for the fighting soul token? Lord Bai was a step too late. He could only watch as Yi Fei killed the fighting soul and took away half of the fighting soul token. Lord Bai was so angry that 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. He then roared and charged towards Yi Fei. Tiger roars in the forest. Damn human tribe trash, who gave you the courage to steal my fighting soul? Roar. Lord Bai was furious. His anger turned into a terrifying divine tiger, like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. It smashed the void and caused an uproar among the martial artists present. Lord Bai has killed so many people. He even wants to kill a human tribe martial artist who can cross the array. The tiger tribe has gone too far. It's over, Lord Bai is going to kill him. That person shouldn't have come, and shouldn't have crossed the array to come to our side. Many martial artists had already closed their eyes, unable to bear the sight of Yi Fei being torn apart. Roar. At this moment, a mighty and terrifying dragon roar suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. That dragon roar was like a divine sound from the beginning of the world. Not only did it overpower the roar of Lord Bai's divine tiger, it also formed a terrifying sound wave that shook heaven and earth. It even shattered the divine tiger that Lord Bai had formed. Boom. Divine tiger rips the wind. Lord Bai did not panic in the face of danger. The shattered divine tiger claw once again condensed, forming a mountain-sized divine tiger claw. It tore apart the sky and the earth at the same time. Endless wind pressure compressed the air in the valley, causing it to explode. It was unknown how many warriors vomited blood and were forced to retreat under this terrifying pressure. Obviously, Lord Bai did not care about the lives of others in this battle. As long as he could kill Yi Fei, he would use any means necessary. Azura Divine Fist. Yi Fei's expression did not change, but the flames of despair on his body were like stars, like the sun, burning the entire sky and filling every corner of heaven and earth. Then, he started to throw out a punch. He was like an invincible god of war, rushing towards the divine tiger. The terrifying fist radiance instantly shattered the sky and sunk the earth. It also caused the divine tiger that was rushing towards him to explode with a punch. In the middle of the explosion, Lord Bai's hair was disheveled. The arrogance in his eyes had disappeared, replaced by a deep sense of fear and dread. Then, boundless anger surged from Lord Bai's body. Damned human trash, how dare you hurt me? Don't you know that we, the Tiger Tribe, will always be superior to you? In front of us, you are all slaves, our livestock. Lord Bai's anger was like a rainbow. In the end, his entire body turned into a mighty divine tiger. On his forehead, a terrifying radiance of the word King appeared, bringing with it the power to destroy everything, shattering the surrounding heaven and earth. Bang! But in the midst of the shattering heaven and earth, Yi Fei's body was burning with the flames of despair. With just one punch, the heaven and earth were filled with dazzling fist radiant. Azura Divine Fist, kill gods and destroy demons. You treat us humans as livestock, but in front of me, you, the divine tiger, are just an ant. Die. Boom. Lord Bai's disdain and arrogance towards the human race had completely enraged Yi Fei. He did not hold back anymore. The dazzling fist radiance was already filled with the aura of death. Lord Bai's gigantic divine tiger body was torn apart like a rag. He tumbled in the air, leaving behind a trail of broken flesh and blood. Oh my God! Lord Bai was seriously injured by a single punch. Who is that person? Since when did such a brave person appear in our trial city? Chapter 1756. Sensing Yi Fei's undisguised murderous intent, Lord Bai could not help but tremble in fear, no matter how arrogant he was and how much he looked down on the human tribe. He wants to kill me. This lowly human dares to kill me? No, I can't die. I am the prince of the tiger tribe. My status is at least 10 times more noble than these lowly humans. Roar, you trash of the human tribe, you forced me to do this. You forced me to do this. Tiger God projection, please protect me. Just like the human tribe, the tiger tribe also had a temple to worship the martial god of the tiger tribe. However, the martial god projection was not allowed in the trial battle. This was because it would severely affect the fairness of the test. Especially when the martial god projection could resist the martial god's might when the martial artists crossed the array. Hence, when they saw Lord Bai enter the killing array with a scroll containing the martial god projection, all the martial artists in the valley were in an uproar. Despicable! Lord Bai is cheating in public. We were wondering how Lord Bai could cross 9 arrays in a row since he was only half a step away from being a godly talent. It turns out that he has the martial god projection on him. Oh no, since Lord Bai dares to release the martial god projection, he must be determined to kill us. All of us may be killed by him. Many of the martial artists' faces turned pale. After all, cheating in the trial battle was an extremely disgraceful thing. Even if the other tribes were given preferential treatment in the trial battle, it would cause a huge uproar if word got out. The best way to deal with this was to kill the witnesses to cover up the truth. However, no one could stop him. Lord Bai took out the scroll too quickly. When he opened the scroll, the martial god's seal that was originally imprinted on the scroll was instantly activated. Then, a tiger man divine spirit that exuded the martial god's might walked out of the scroll. Boom! When he walked out, the heavens and the earth came to a standstill. Only the boundless might of the martial god could suppress the heavens and the earth, as if a deity was walking in the world. Finally, the tiger god stared coldly at Yi Fei and said in surprise, "Abandoned by the heavens, you actually managed to break through to the martial emperor realm. You are at the emperor-to-be realm? What? He's abandoned by the gods? He's a piece of trash. Damn it. I, Lord Bai, was almost defeated by a piece of trash." Lord Bai's face turned red, as if he had just been slapped in the face. He was so angry that his hair was on fire. "Tiger God, please kill him for me. I will turn his corpse into a puppet and make him kneel before me for all eternity." Lord Bai was furious. He had always looked down on the human race. If he was defeated by a human monster, he would accept it. But he was almost defeated by a martial arts trash. This was something that Lord Bai could not tolerate. When the tiger deity heard Lord Bai's words, he sneered and shook his head. "What a pity! Since you were able to break through to the quasi-emperor realm despite being abandoned by the heavens, you must not be an ordinary person. What a pity! You shouldn't have offended the Tiger Clan and shouldn't have tried to kill Lord Bai. Are you done? If you're done, then you 2 bastards can die together." Yi Fei sneered. He did not say anything earlier, not because he was afraid of the tiger deity, but because he was quietly adjusting his condition. When he felt that his fighting condition had reached its peak, he did not say anything. Without further ado, Yi Fei made his move. 9 heaven-grade domains appeared around him. Soon, these domains merged into 9 terrifying domain swords that tore through the void and slashed forward. "How dare you! Junior, I think you're courting death." Lord Bai and the tiger deity were shocked when they saw that Yi Fei dared to make the first move against the martial god. Then, they flew into a rage. The tiger deity did not have a good temper. As the tiger deity was enraged, a gigantic tiger claw appeared between the heavens and the earth, including the entire killing array. The tiger claw enveloped the entire area and clenched tightly, as if it wanted to crush the heavens and the earth. However, what shocked the tiger deity was that his tiger claw, which could crush the heavens and the earth, was unable to crush the 9 realm swords. Instead, the 9 realm swords were like 9 dazzling stars, whistling and blazing as they pierced through the void. At the same time, the tiger deity's tiger claw was also shattered. There were huge holes. How is this possible? 9 heavenly realms, you are. The tiger deity's gaze turned serious for the first time. Why is it impossible? We humans are best at making the impossible possible. You are just a projection of a beast. You are not even comparable to the blood essence clone of the limitless sword god. Who gave you the guts to look down on humans? Who gave you the guts to act so arrogantly in front of me? Tailed wolf, I think you are tired of living. Kill. Heaven-piercing sword Dao. Yi Fei's sword Qi soared into the 9 heavens. The terrifying sword Qi condensed into a frightening galaxy. Then, the galaxy changed again, and formed a gigantic Tai Chi sword formation. It was capable of destroying the heavens and the earth. It was invincible. This was Yi Fei's sword formation. The sword formation was invincible. The sword formation was invincible and indestructible. Once the sword formation was unleashed, blood would splatter 10 steps away and flow like a river. When the tiger deity sensed the terror of Yi Fei's sword Qi, his tiger eyes suddenly emitted a shocking battle glow. What a peerless genius! What an impressive sword formation! It's a pity that you have not become a martial god yet. You will never know the terror of a martial god, even if this is just a projection of me. Kill! Boom! Boom! The heavens and the earth shattered once again. In the end, even the terrifying killing formation collapsed under the tiger deity's attack. All the martial artists in the valley were crushed into pieces by the killing formation. Clearly, the tiger deity was determined to kill Yi Fei after sensing his shocking talent. Even if he had to destroy him. The entire killing formation wanted to kill Yi Fei. Seeing this, Yi Fei roared loudly. Then, his roar turned into a terrifying dragon's roar. The 8-level heavenly dragons exploded and formed 8 different divinatory diagrams. They were like 8 terrifying worlds that suppressed time and space, completely suppressing the heavens and the earth. The tiger deity's eyes were aghast as he watched 8 different realms crazily crush him. His martial god projection had already been shattered by these 8 realms. Roar! Don't let me see you at the human tribe's impregnable pass. Otherwise. The tiger deity's furious roar came from the end of the void. He felt helpless. His martial god projection was too weak. It was only equivalent to the martial emperor realm. Such a realm could allow him to crush a half-step demon, but against a peerless genius like Yi Fei and the terrifying 8-level heavenly dragons, even the martial god projection could only die on the spot. Oh my god, he actually destroyed the martial god projection. He is actually one of the legendary peerless geniuses. Suddenly, Lord Bai's heart was filled with deep regret and deep fear. He was so scared that his courage was about to be crushed. However, when he saw Yi Fei walking toward him like a purple-gold god of war, Lord Bai was so scared that his voice trembled. He quickly smiled and said, "Brother Yi, no? Young Master Yi, I am the prince of the tiger tribe. As long as you don't kill me, we can discuss anything." Chapter 1757. When the sword god was enraged, blood splattered everywhere. When Yi Fei was enraged, blood flowed like rivers. Lord Bai only saw a dazzling sword radiance slashing through his body. Then, Lord Bai did not know anything. All that was left was a huge tiger corpse kneeling in front of Yi Fei. Ding ding dang! Another 9 black tokens rolled out from the tiger corpse. These were the fighting spirit tokens that Lord Bai had obtained by cheating with the martial god's projection. However, to enter the fighting spirit space, one only needed 2 fighting spirit tokens. Lord Bai had not hesitated to cross the 9 arrays and snatch all the fighting spirit tokens. This made Yi Fei very puzzled. There must be a secret that I don't know. What a pity. If I had known, I would have asked first before killing Lord Bai. He is just a tiger that has turned into a demon. How dare he defecate and pee on the heads of the human tribe? Does the tiger tribe think that there is no one in the human tribe? Yi Fei kept the 9 tokens and turned to leave. He did not even look at Lord Bai's corpse. On the other hand, the dragon turtle was very curious about the dead tiger. It even wanted to sneak out of the beast mark space to taste the tiger's meat. Of course, in Xiao Chao's eyes, the dragon turtle was lazy and did not want to train. Hence, Xiao Chao quickly whipped the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle was foaming at the mouth. However, it immediately became very obedient and became a ball again. It held back its tears and allowed Xiao Chao to slap it. After that, the dragon turtle was even more determined to start losing weight during this period of time. Yi Fei once again crossed the formation and returned to the killing formation he was in. His appearance caused an uproar among the martial artists in the killing array. Especially when Yi Fei crossed the array, the martial god's oppression on his body was close to 100 times stronger. It caused the entire killing array to shake violently. Many of the martial artists present trembled from the bottom of their souls. Oh my God, how many killing arrays did he cross to be able to produce such a terrifying martial god's oppression? Haha, this is great. Our trial city has finally produced an invincible genius who is on par with Lord Bai. On par with him? Yi Fei smiled faintly and did not pay much attention to the discussions of these people. He landed on the ground and sat down cross-legged. He then called Zhou Qiang over. Zhou Qiang, let me ask you. If I cross the 10 arrays and kill all the fighting souls, will there be any special rewards? What? Young Master Yi, if you kill all the fighting, then you will have 10 fighting spirit tokens. Although Zhou Qiang knew that Yi was strong, he did not expect Yi to be so strong. Zhou Qiang was shocked he had the urge. Yi Zhou Qiang. S. Zhou Qiang. And Zhou Qiang and Yi Zhou. And Zhou Qiang was of the voice of Ed. Not only can you use it, but you can also give it to others. No wonder Lord Bai would rather cheat and collect all the fighting spirit tokens. The fighting spirit space contained the true martial god fighting spirit. Once one obtained them, there was a possibility of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. If the tiger tribe obtained all the fighting spirit tokens, then besides Lord Bai, there were 4 other experts from the tiger tribe who could enter the fighting spirit space to capture the fighting spirits and break through to the martial emperor realm. Opportunity. The tiger tribe has a good plan. However, they are secretly conniving with the trial city master of the tiger tribe. They really deserve to be punished. Yi Fei shook his head and did not say anything else. He quietly cultivated and waited for the trial battle to end. Time always passed very quickly during cultivation, and the 10-day deadline was soon up. Those martial artists who were still alive could not help but cheer. Even Zhou Qiang was the same. For these ordinary martial artists, as long as they could hold on for 10 days, they would be able to leave the trial city and obtain the qualifications to enter the human tribe battlefield. The other martial artists in the trial city were also cheering. Although these martial artists did not have the strength or courage to participate in the trial battle, this did not prevent them from sincerely cheering for the martial artists who had passed the trial battle. After all, the more experts who could enter the human tribe battlefield, the more they could resist the sorcerer tribe. The sorcerer tribe's attack. Long live the city master! Long live the tiger tribe! No one knew who took the lead, but before the martial artists in the trial battle came out, they began to cheer loudly. Not only did they praise the trial city master, but they also cheered for the tiger tribe and Lord Bai. A few elders from the Tiger tribe were excited as they cupped their hands towards the trial city master and said, "City master, this time it is all thanks to you. Otherwise, how could Lord Bai have obtained all the fighting spirit tokens so easily? Master, from now on, you are the most sincere friend of the Tiger tribe. When Lord Bai and the experts of the Tiger tribe enter the fighting spirit space and break through to the martial emperor realm, the Tiger tribe will prepare a generous gift to thank the city master." An elder from the Tiger tribe said, "Ha ha, you are too polite. I did not actually do anything. The key is that child, Lord Bai, is talented and has worked hard. It was not enough that he had obtained an earthly spirit pearl by luck. He had actually obtained an even more valuable gift." While the trial city master was being modest, his face bloomed like a chrysanthemum as he smiled happily. The elders from the Tiger tribe were also smiling proudly. They had even specially laid out a red carpet outside the killing array that Lord Bai had entered. They were waiting for Lord Bai to walk out of the array door in a peerless manner. He would be able to dominate the world and trample the other martial artists like ants under his feet. However, what surprised the elders of the Tiger tribe was that not a single martial artist walked out of the killing array that had been laid out with a red carpet. On the contrary, martial artists from the other array doors walked out in high spirit. Thanks to Lord Bai's continuous crossing of the array and killing of the fighting spirits, the martial artists who had participated in the trial battle this time around, except for the lucky ones. Most of the unlucky ones had managed to survive and pass the assessment smoothly. What is going on? Why did not a single martial artist come out of Lord Bai's array door? Instead, there are so many martial artists coming out of Zhou Jingyi's array door. The elders of the Tiger tribe were shocked and felt that something was not right. There were even elders who could not wait to rush into the killing array to look for Lord Bai. Lord Bai's figure. Unfortunately, they did not find Lord Bai. They only found a huge corpse of a divine tiger. When the elders of the Tiger tribe carried the corpse out with red eyes, the entire trial city was in an uproar. "Oh my God, Lord Bai is dead!" Not only Lord Bai, but all the martial artists in the killing array are dead. Strange, Lord Bai has been crossing the array door continuously and is very arrogant. Who could have killed him? Swoosh. Tens of thousands of pairs of eyes looked at Yi Fei at the same time when they saw Lord Bai's corpse. After all, other than Lord Bai, only Yi Fei could cross the array door. The elders of the Tiger tribe quickly followed the gazes and found Yi Fei. Their tiger eyes flashed with a terrifying light and ruthlessness. It's you who killed Lord Bai?" "That's right, it's me." Yi Fei nodded. He could not deny it even if he wanted to. "Why?" Chapter 1758. Yi Fei took a step towards the sky and walked towards the Trial City Lord, shouting, "You still have the nerve to ask why? As the Trial City Lord, you don't fight for our human race, but instead act as a dog for the tiger race. You purposely adjusted the difficulty of the killing array to harm me, but what's even worse is that you actually allowed Lord Bai to cheat, tacitly allowing him to bring along martial arts. The martial god projection continuously crossed the array and snatched the fighting spirit tokens. Let me ask you, are you a human or a dog raised by the Tiger tribe?" Boom. Yi Fei's words shook the hearts of the people and the entire trial governor. No one had expected that Yi Fei would dare to stand out and call the city governor a dog in the face of the rage of the city governor. He had even said the truth that many people did not dare to say. This truth was even more shocking and infuriating than Lord Bai's death. What? Lord Bai brought the martial god projection into the killing array? This is obviously cheating. Tiger tribe, do you have any shame? I knew it. Lord Bai was just a half-step demon. How could he cross the array as easily as eating and drinking? Killing the fighting spirit of a half-step demon was as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. This bastard is cheating. Countless martial artists were enraged. No one doubted Yi Fei's words. In fact, there were too many victims around Yi Fei who had almost died in the killing array after the city governor had increased the difficulty. These people also roared angrily at this time. These angry roars made the faces of many elders of the tiger tribe turn ugly. The trial governor's face was ashen and he was inexplicably flustered. His original plan was to use the martial emperor fighting spirits to kill Yi Fei and Zhou Qiang. Then, he would allow Lord Bai to cheat and snatch all the fighting spirit tokens. This way, he would be able to take revenge on Yi Fei and befriend the tiger tribe. The only thing that the trial governor did not expect was that Yi Fei not only did not die, but also turned the tables and killed Lord Bai. In the end, in front of countless people, he exposed the fact that he had allowed Lord Bai to cheat. If this news were to spread to the human tribe, even though he was the trial governor, he had made great contributions on the battlefield. He would definitely be killed by the human tribe martial gods. Shut up! What a bunch of nonsense! This city lord has always been fair and selfless. For the sake of the human race, I have even risked my life. How can I allow a junior like you to humiliate this seat time and time again and ruin this seat's reputation? Vile spawn, this seat will punish you for your disrespect in front of everyone today. Kill. The trial city lord didn't give Yi Fei a chance to continue speaking the truth. His entire body was boiling with killing intent, forming a terrifying bloody blade that could cut apart the heavens and earth. He wanted to instantly kill Yi Fei and maintain his dignity as the city lord. Kill. Avenge the prince. Goddamn lowly human beings, you're nothing but pigs and dogs that we've reared. How dare you bully my tiger clan and kill my prince? The death of Lord Bai made the elders of the tiger tribe even more furious. Some of the elders instantly went berserk and turned into huge divine tigers, pouncing towards Yi Fei. This scene. It made the hearts of countless human tribe warriors tremble. They secretly broke out in a cold sweat for Yi Fei. When he saw the elders of the tiger tribe charging towards him, Yi Fei's face was filled with anger and endless coldness. Then, the limitless sword emitted a dazzling starlight. It was like a dazzling star as it was smashed out by Yi Fei. It smashed into a huge divine tiger, causing its brain to burst open, and it died a violent death. How dare you look down on the human race with such little ability? You're all just SOSO. As he spoke, Yi Fei wielded the limitless sword and directly charged into the midst of the elders of the tiger tribe. With one strike of his sword, he smashed the elders of the tiger tribe to death on the spot. The ground was littered with tiger corpses. This scene frightened the other foreign tribes so much that their legs turned to jelly. It should be known that many experts of the human tribe tolerated and gave in to the foreign tribes as much as they could in order to win them over. For someone like Yi Fei, who didn't take them seriously at all and killed them as he pleased, this was the first time they had encountered such a ruthless person. Looking at the tiger corpses that littered the ground, the trial city lord's eyes flashed with a cruel and cold light. He deliberately didn't attack immediately. Instead, he allowed Yi Fei to kill these tigers and silence them. Then, he would attack and kill Yi Fei so that there would be no witnesses. This way, even if the powerhouses of the human tribe came to investigate, they wouldn't be able to find anything that could be used against him. But on the surface, when the trial city lord saw Yi Fei slaughter the tigers, his face revealed a look of anger and grief. He constantly roared at Yi Fei, "Evil creature, you goddamn little demon, I won't do it today. Killing you is truly intolerable. Kill." Bloodblade storm. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As Yi Fei smashed the last tiger tribe elder to death, the trial city lord finally attacked. His body emitted a boundless aura of blood. It was like a torrential downpour, like a meteor shower. Finally, it formed a terrifying beam of light that pierced through the starry skies, shattering the heavens and earth. Sword Dao reaches the heavens, ultimate sword. Yi Fei's domain erupted. Boundless sword light was like a river of stars, illuminating the entire world. Then, it condensed into an incomparably massive Taiji sword array, destroying the heavens and earth. It also extinguished all the surrounding light. Then, Yi Fei didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. He held a sword in one hand and punched out with the other. The sword was the Taiji Divine Sword. The fist was the Azura Divine Fist. These two different ancient heavenly skills were displayed in Yi Fei's hands. He was completely familiar with them, as if they were his arms. But, the Trial City Lord was a powerhouse that had survived countless battles. This person's combat experience was incomparably rich and ruthless. He was actually able to simultaneously control two ancient heavenly skills. Blood one hand, blood one hand, blood one hand, Bloodblade Storm. It formed an even denser net of light that covered the heavens and earth. It also covered the entire Trial City. This was the terror of a true martial emperor. To be able to become the Trial City Lord, there were absolutely no weaklings. But unfortunately, he had encountered Yi Fei. Yi Fei realized that the City Lord was so powerful that he couldn't win with just two immemorial heaven skills. Yi Fei let out a loud shout. While activating the Taiji sword and the Shura fist, his blood and chi suddenly soared into the sky, forming an extremely powerful blood and chi dragon. Suppressing the 9 heavens, swallowing the mountains and rivers. Dragon suppressing the 9 heavens. 3 ancient heavenly skills. You can actually control 3 ancient heavenly skills. Damn it, you also have 9 heavenly domains. The Trial City Lord's complexion changed. It had to be known that it wasn't difficult to transform into a peerless monstrous genius. As long as one had the heavenly spirit bead, they could do so. But, to transform into a peerless monstrous genius, while also successfully condensing 9 heavenly domains, this was something that many peerless monstrous geniuses might not be able to do. After all, the number of domains a warrior could withstand was related to the warrior's mental strength. As for mental strength, other than the sorcerer race, no other race had the ability to raise it. But Yi Fei was an exception. He was a person that had been abandoned by the heavens. Even though he had been abandoned by the heavens, he could escape the restrictions of the heavenly Tao and cultivate any kind of strength. This kind of strength naturally included mental strength. Although the Trial City Lord didn't know this, the heaven-defying strength that Yi Fei displayed still shocked him. At the same time, an unprecedented killing intent and ruthlessness appeared in his heart. Chapter 1759. After all, the City Lord was a martial emperor expert who had fought with the sorcerer tribe all year round. The bloody spear was an extremely powerful primordial heavenly technique created by the martial god of the human race. In order to master this heavenly technique, one had to fight on the battlefield for decades. Once it was mastered, the might of the bloody spear would be incomparably terrifying. Many warriors only saw a terrifying bloody vortex appear between the heavens and the earth. It wasn't a real vortex, but an illusion created by the bloody spear because it was too fast. In fact, the moment the City Lord attacked, the huge spear had already pierced through Yi Fei's body. It had also pierced the surrounding space into nothingness. The faces of countless warriors were filled with shock. Dead, he's still dead. A quasi-emperor challenging a martial emperor is indeed unrealistic. It's not that Yi Fei is too weak, but that the City Lord is too strong. He was originally a human race expert who had fought with the sorcerer tribe all year round. Even if he had retired in the past few hundred years, an ordinary martial emperor would not be a match for the City Lord, Bloody Battle City. Ignoring the discussions of the crowd, after confidently thrusting out the bloody spear, the expression of the City Lord, who had thought that he had won, suddenly changed. His instincts as an expert made him feel a huge sense of danger. He immediately roared and countless rays of blood shot out from his body in all directions. Rays of light. These rays of light quickly cut through the sky and the void. Everyone was shocked to see that, just like the City Lord's bloody spear, Yi Fei's pierced body was also an illusion. As it turned out, when the City Lord's bloody spear had pierced over, Yi Fei had already used the heavenly demon phantom of the heavenly sage demonic technique. He had deliberately left an illusion behind to block the attack of the City Lord. As for Yi Fei's real body, he had taken the opportunity to escape into the void and suddenly appeared behind the City Lord. Dazzling sword light, carrying the supreme power of the ultimate sword, cut through the sky and shook the world. However, Yi Fei regretted that the City Lord was too strong. This person is indeed a human race expert. They are both martial emperors, but the limitless sword god is at least 10 streets away from him. However, I will not lose. Sword Dao reaches the heavens, kill! Yi Fei roared once again. He even ignited his undying sword soul, fully activating the unbounded sword. At this moment, all the light in the surroundings dimmed. Only Yi Fei's sword light was like a blazing fire, like a star, emitting a dazzling divine sword light. Boom! When Yi Fei raised the everlasting sword and smashed it down, the entire sky above the Trial City exploded. Even though the Trial City Lord reacted quickly and defended himself in time, the everlasting sword's terrifying weight was something that even a martial emperor would find hard to withstand. After persisting for 10 breaths of time, the Trial City Lord's bloody battle all directions was smashed into smithereens by Yi Fei's chaotic swords. However, Yi Fei did not stop attacking because of this. Instead, he attacked even more ferociously. In the eyes of the crowd, Yi Fei was no longer wielding a sword. It was an incomparably terrifying star. At this moment, this star was filled with boundless starlight. It shattered the sky, shattered the void, and similarly shattered the protective true yuan of the Trial City Lord. Blood flows like a river. The Trial City Lord was suddenly enraged. In the face of Yi Fei's suppression, he did not retreat. Instead, he brought out the experience he had gained from fighting in the human race's impregnable past. He was filled with desperation, determination, and a trace of madness and savagery. He forcefully withstood the boundless sword light and attempted to close in on Yi Fei. He wanted to engage in close combat with Yi Fei. You dare to engage in close combat with me? Very well, I'll grant you your wish. Battle Demon Dao, Azure Dragon's Fury. Yi Fei's body suddenly emitted a blazing golden demonic light. Then, a blazing vermilion bird appeared behind him. A black tortoise armor appeared on his body. His hands turned into dragon and tiger claws. Azure Dragon Heaven Suppressing Prison. White Tiger out of the cage. Rumble! Yi Fei roared out loud. Like the fury of an azure dragon, like the fury of a white tiger, he did not retreat. Instead, he charged forward, clashing head-on with the Trial City Lord. Many of the City Lord's mansion guards that had heard the news were so frightened that their gallbladder nearly shattered. Heavens, who is that person? Doesn't he know that the City Lord's strongest point is close combat? He actually dares to compete in close combat with the City Lord? It's not just close combat. Have you all noticed? Up until now, Yi Fei has already used at least 5 primordial heavenly arts. He also has 9 heaven-step domains. In the legends, these are extreme domains that only the strongest of monstrous geniuses can reach. Not good, the City Lord has been defeated. Suddenly, someone shouted. The 2 figures that were fiercely fighting in the sky suddenly separated. Yi Fei's body was bathed in blood. His battle demon golden body and black tortoise armor had been torn apart. Even the vermilion bird wings on his back had been torn in half by the City Lord's bare hands. But such injuries did not scare away Yi Fei. An injured wild beast was the most terrifying. The more injured Yi Fei was, the more intense his fighting spirit became. In the end, this intense fighting spirit suddenly formed an unparalleled divine fist, bringing with it an incomparably resplendent light as it shot forward. Azura destroys gods. Yi Fei roared. He was like a battle demon that had fallen into madness. What he waved was an unparalleled divine fist that could slaughter gods and demons. Under the cover of this fist, the Trial City Lord's face turned red. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then, dozens of bloody holes appeared on his body. His injuries were very serious. They were several times more serious than Yi Fei's. When he saw that Yi Fei was actually able to unleash an even stronger battle prowess despite his injuries, even a martial emperor as strong as the City Lord could not help but feel a certain degree of fear in his heart. Damn, Junior, just you wait. Wait until I recover from my injuries, then I will fight you to the death. Roar. Although he spat out these harsh words, the Trial City Lord retreated at a speed faster than lightning. With his heavy injuries, he didn't dare to continue fighting with Yi Fei. Instead, he fled back to the City Lord's mansion at his fastest speed. Yi Fei was about to give chase when Zhou Qiang, who was below, suddenly revealed a frightened expression. You must not give chase. The City Lord's mansion has a martial god's restriction. It is a dragon's lair and a tiger's den. Yi Fei was shocked. Only now did he understand that the Trial City Lord realized that he could not defeat him and wanted to use the geographical advantage to harm him. Forget it. I will let you live today. If you dare to provoke me in the future, I will destroy the City Lord's mansion as well. Since the Trial City Lord chose not to come out, he still had to give him a warning. Yi Fei simply swung his sword at the City Lord again. Boom! Boom! The whistling sword light formed a sword river that slashed at the City Lord's mansion, causing it to shake violently. Countless buildings were reduced to rubble by this sword light. However, just as Yi Fei's sword light was about to enter the City Lord's mansion, the entire City Lord's mansion suddenly shone brightly. An incomparably strong restriction appeared, blocking Yi Fei's attack. Chapter 1760. This scene immediately caused an uproar among the cultivators in the City of Trials. Many of them were dumbstruck. They never thought that the battle between Yi Fei and the City Lord would end up like this. The powerful martial Emperor City Lord was not only suppressed by Yi Fei, but he also fled without a fight. He fled to the City Lord mansion to seek refuge. Hiss! This guy called Yi Fei is really too strong, too unbelievable. As expected of the legendary peerless monster. Strange, why isn't Yi Fei's name on the wind cloud list for such a heaven-defying monster? Why not? Did you forget the sensational honor list 3 years ago? The demon saint, white-clothed war god, and the army of destruction. These 3 names even startled the experts in the human race past. They kept sending people to search for them. Unfortunately, these 3 people never showed up. Who do you think Yi Fei is? The demon saint, white-clothed war god, or the army of destruction? The warriors in the city were discussing animatedly. In the City Lord mansion, the Trial City Lord and the elder of the Wings clan were discussing Yi Fei's matter with a gloomy face. He can't be the army of destruction. The Army of Destruction was only nominated on the silver list. With the talent this kid has shown, he must be a peerless demon who was nominated on the honor list. He can't be the white-clothed war god. After all, this kid is ruthless. It's better to call him the war demon than the war god. The elder of the Wings clan analyzed gloomily. Said the elder. So, he is the demon saint who became famous overnight 3 years ago. Damn it, if I knew he was a peerless monster, let alone 1 Earth Spirit Pearl, even if it was 10 Earth Spirit Pearls, this City Lord still wouldn't stand with the Tiger Clan. The Trial City Lord was shocked, angry, ashamed. He had never felt so sullen before. It was so embarrassing. The dignified martial emperor city lord was beaten by a junior to the point that he couldn't come out and was a coward. Just thinking about this humiliation made the trial city lord's face turn red. It was as if he had been slapped a few times and stepped on a few times. Noticing that the city lord of the trial city was wavering, the elder of the Wings tribe's heart skipped a beat. He quickly comforted, "City lord, don't be rash. Even if this person is the devil saint, he still hasn't matured. Besides, he killed Lord Bai, so he must have killed the projection of the tiger god in Lord Bai's hand. Although the tiger god wouldn't attack him, the divine palace wouldn't let Lord Bai's death go. Yes, Lord Bai not only has the tiger clan, but also the palace. Since I can't deal with this evil creature, I'll let the heavenly god Hall do it. From now on I'll go into seclusion. I don't want to see anyone else." After the city lord finished speaking, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock and fear. Puff! After returning to Zhou Chang's residence, Yi Fei couldn't bear it any longer and spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground. This immediately scared Zhou Qiang. "Young master, are you all right? Don't scare me. We're now in the same boat. If something happens to you, the city lord can crush me to death with a single strand of his hair." Yi Fei shook his head and sighed. "Look at how useless you are. However, to be able to become a trial city master, there are no weaklings. With my battle prowess, I can easily kill an ordinary martial emperor. However, against this trial city master, I was actually seriously injured." Seeing Yi Fei covered in blood, Xiao Chao ran out with the dragon tortoise with tears in her eyes. Suddenly, Xiao Chao thought of something and dug into the dragon tortoise's shell. A large black pot was found by Xiao Chao. Inside the black pot, it was filled with glowing dragon saliva. It was enough for Yi Fei to jump in and take a bath. The dragon saliva had another effect, and that was the healing effect. It was not inferior to the heavenly tribulation liquid in the slightest. Yi Fei's eyes instantly lit up. Without another word, he had already jumped into the black pot. Boom! Sensing the astonishing energy of the dragon saliva, the undying sword's soul did not hold back and quickly absorbed all of the dragon saliva's energy in the black wok. Xiao Chao was still not at ease, so she reached out her small hand and dug around the other side of the dragon turtle's shell. Xiao Chao pulled out another large black vat filled with dragon saliva. The dragon turtle was so shocked that its black mouth turned white. One had to know that the black pot and the black vat were the dragon turtle's deepest secrets. Even Yi Fei didn't know about them, but Xiao Chao was able to find them easily. This scene scared the dragon turtle so much that it quickly retracted its tail. It quickly moved some of the spirit stones it had secretly hidden from the cracks in its shell into its belly. However, this made the dragon turtle even more bloated. Xiao Chao waved his hand and blew a spirit wind. The dragon turtle bounced up like a rubber ball. Heavens, this turtle! Zhou Qiang was completely stunned. Seeing the dragon turtle bouncing up and the large amount of spirit stones rolling out from the gaps of its shell, Yi Fei's expression became even more pained. "I was wondering why the spirit stones were being consumed so quickly. After all this time, Dahe, other than attacking with your evil mouth, you're also attacking with your evil claws. Xiao Chao, drag it out and beat it." Roar! Roar! The dragon turtle was so scared that its face turned white. Before Xiao Chao could do anything, the dragon turtle had already put up a small wooden sign. It said that it would turn over a new leaf and train hard. Only then did Yi Fei reluctantly forgive the dragon turtle on account of the good healing effects of the dragon saliva. Relying on the amazing effects of the dragon saliva, Yi Fei quickly recovered from his injuries. Just as he was about to ask Zhou Qiang how to enter the fighting spirit space, Zhou Qiang excitedly walked in from outside. "Young Master Yi, a big business has come knocking on our door. We are going to be rich." "Big business?" Zhou Qiang, Don't tell me you went out to scam people again? Yi Fei was shocked and quickly put away Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle. Zhou Qiang explained, Young Master Yi, don't you have extra fighting spirit tokens on you? You won't be able to use them all by yourself. It would be a waste to keep it. Right now, there are many warriors in the city waiting for you to sell it. The war spirit token? Fighting spirit tokens can actually be sold. Yi Fei had a strange expression on his face. However, he quickly thought of something. Since Lord Bai could use the extra fighting spirit tokens to bring the other experts of the tiger tribe into the fighting spirit space, then he could also sell the fighting spirit tokens to bring more human experts into the fighting spirit space. They could enter the fighting spirit space and obtain the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. I wonder how many spiritual stones one fighting spirit token can sell for? Yi Fei pondered. Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle also quietly pricked up their ears and began to eavesdrop. Young Master Yi, you can't sell it for spiritual stones. That would be a loss. At the very least, you should start with spiritual veins. The fighting spirit token from 10 years ago was sold for 300 spiritual veins. Zhou Qiang said excitedly. Yi Fei also jumped up in shock. What? One fighting spirit token is worth 300 spiritual veins? If I sell all 4 fighting spirit tokens, then I can easily gather 1,200 spiritual veins. With so many spiritual veins, not to mention establishing a super martial emperor family, it would be more than enough to establish a super sect like the Wuji sect. However, when Yi Fei thought about how he needed 10,000 spiritual veins to merge with the despair force for the 8th time, he began to feel bitter. Chapter 1761. After obtaining the fighting spirit order, it did not mean that Yi Fei could immediately enter the fighting spirit space. He had to wait for the other trial cities to finish their trial battles. At that time, the 10 trial cities would be connected and the true teleportation array would be activated, allowing martial artists to have the opportunity to enter the fighting spirit space. Of course, entering the fighting spirit space was easy. If one wanted to capture a real martial god fighting spirit and obtain the opportunity to break through to martial emperor, it would depend on one's ability. After all, a martial god who could leave behind a fighting spirit after death was very powerful when he was alive. Even if the fighting spirit formed after death was only 1,000th of the martial god's power, it was not something that ordinary martial artists could deal with. This was because only in the 10 great trial cities would there be trial battles, and only then would cultivators be encouraged to cross the battle arrays. This was because only cultivators who had the strength to cross the battle arrays would have the greatest possibility of capturing a martial god or battle god in the fighting spirit space and breaking through to martial emperor. Of course, in order to break through to martial emperor, there were many people who were willing to risk their lives to enter the fighting spirit space. These people did not have the ability to cross the array, but they had a large amount of spiritual vein resources. Through these resources, they could still think of ways to obtain the fighting spirit order and obtain the qualifications to enter the fighting spirit space. Therefore, when the news that Yi Fei had killed Marquis Bai, defeated the city lord, and obtained all the fighting spirit orders spread, all the martial artists in the trial cities came to Zhou Chang's residence to visit Yi Fei, hoping to obtain the extra fighting spirit orders from Yi Fei. I can sell the fighting spirit order, but only to the martial artists of the human tribe. This is my condition. Zhou Qiang, you can do as you see fit. Yi Fei threw the spirit-gathering pagoda and the extra fighting spirit order to Zhou Qiang. He returned to his room and began to cultivate in seclusion, waiting for the fighting spirit space to open. Since Zhou Qiang had already made a spiritual soul oath, he would not dare to betray him. Yi Fei did not have to worry that Zhou Qiang would run away with the spiritual vein. It will take at least 3 months before the fighting spirit space opens. During this time, I can forget about breaking through. However, I can try to cultivate another primordial heaven skill. Yi Fei had a total of 9 primordial heavenly art. Other than the 7 primordial heavenly arts he had obtained from the 6 sacred sects, he also had the self-created Taiji Sword Dao and the incomplete Azure Dragon's Fury. The Azure Dragon's Fury was improved by the Grand Supreme Dean from the incomplete immemorial heaven art of the true martial 4 elements. It is only between the martial emperor's ultimate technique and the immemorial heaven art. There are still many flaws in it. Previously, the Trial City Lord caught my flaws and almost seriously injured me. I have to think of a way to make up for my weakness in close combat. Yi Fei thought to himself. In fact, with his combat strength and the martial arts that he cultivated, he should be best at close combat. However, it was a pity that compared to the experts of the human clan who had fought with the shaman tribe for hundreds or thousands of years in the impregnable pass of the human clan, Yi Fei was lacking in both experience and martial arts. This also made he gradually lost his advantage in close combat. However, it was not impossible to make up for it. For example, if Yi Fei could perfect the Azure Dragon's Fury and turn it into a true primordial heavenly art, then his close combat ability would definitely be greatly improved. It's a pity that it's too difficult to perfect a primordial heavenly art. Right now, I don't have that much time. Moreover, compared to perfecting a primordial heavenly art, I might as well cultivate a stronger close combat martial art. Oh right, I remember that the Heavenly Cauldron Suppressing Gods of the Heavenly Holy Palace is a powerful close combat martial art. Thinking of this, Yi Fei quickly took out the Heavenly Cauldron Suppressing Gods of the Primordial Heavenly Art. This was the ultimate technique of the Heavenly Holy Palace. It focused on the density of one's qi and condensing it into a cauldron. At the same time, the martial artists of the Heavenly Holy Palace never used weapons. This was because the battle cauldrons they condensed were the best offensive weapons. When cultivated to the limit, they could even transform the battle cauldron into a divine cauldron. This divine cauldron possessed an unparalleled might comparable to a divine artifact. It could be used to attack and defend. The previous saints' sons of the Heavenly Holy Palace were not the strongest, but their strength was the most balanced in all aspects. They were the most invulnerable. If I cultivate the Heavenly Cauldron Suppressing Gods, then my weakness in close combat can be completely made up for. 3 months could not be considered long, but it also could not be considered short. But for an ordinary martial artist, wanting to comprehend an primordial heavenly art in such a short time was simply a fantasy. But Yi Fei was different. He had the undying sword soul. He could infinitely increase his perception, even if it was a difficult primordial heavenly art. 3 months. 3 months was more than enough time for Yi Fei to begin cultivating this primordial heavenly art. Heavenly Cauldron Suppressing Gods. Dragon Turtle, now you can use any method you like to attack me. On a certain day 3 months later, Yi Fei stood in the courtyard and said to the dragon turtle. As for the fact that Yi Fei had refined all of the dragon's saliva, the dragon turtle had already made a ruthless mark on the black wooden tablet. Seeing that the opportunity for revenge was right in front of him, the dragon turtle did not hesitate. It picked up the big black pot with its left claw and the big black jar with its right claw and violently smashed them at Yi Fei. Moreover, it specifically aimed at Yi Fei's face. Xiao Qiao was angry. If the dragon turtle smashed Yi Fei like this, what would happen? Yi Fei laughed and did not counterattack. He only condensed all of his true essence into a battle cauldron and used it to block in front of him. With 2 loud bangs, the dragon turtle's black pot did not hit Yi Fei's face. Instead, when the black pot collided with the battle cauldron formed from true essence, it suddenly bounced off. The bottom of the pot even revealed itself. A very deep crack appeared. Roar! Looking at the crack, the dragon turtle roared at the sky with heartache. Then, it hugged the black pot and crawled back into the beast-marked space with tears in its eyes. It swore that it would never help Yi Fei test his martial arts again. "Zhou Qiang, you do it." Seeing that the dragon turtle did not make a move, Yi Fei beckoned to Zhou Qiang, who had walked in after hearing the commotion. Zhou Qiang smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Young master, this is a primordial heavenly art. Ordinary martial arts will not be able to break through the defense of this battle cauldron. By the way, young master, these are the 1,200 spirit veins we obtained from selling the tokens. I have collected them all." As he spoke, Zhou Qiang returned the essence-gathering tower to Yi Fei. Together with the 700 spirit veins Yi Fei had before, the total number of spirit veins in the essence-gathering tower was close to 2,000. Although it was still far from 10,000 spirit veins, Yi Fei was still very satisfied. Although 10,000 spirit veins is a bit exaggerated, I still have a chance to collect them on the battlefield of the human race. By the way, is there any news about Zhao Yu or Dongfang Yu recently? Yi Fei thought of something and asked again. This was also the reason why he had chosen to accept Zhou Qiang. He needed someone who was familiar with the battlefield of the human race to help him gather information about his old friend. Since understanding Yi Fei's talent, Zhou Qiang had worked very hard to gather information for Yi Fei. But strangely, no matter how hard Zhou Qiang tried, he could not get any information about Zhao Yu. "Young Master Yi, I don't have any news about Zhao Yu. But Dongfang Yu is currently in the Fengyan city outside the human race's impregnable pass. You will meet him if you go there. By the way, I recently received news that the assessment of the last trial city has ended. The fighting soul space has opened." Chapter 1762. Yi Fei did not hesitate. He immediately flew into the sky and flew towards the largest teleportation platform in the city. "Young Master Yi! Young Master Yi is here. That's great. With young Master Yi leading the team, we will be able to capture the martial god's fighting soul in 1 to 5 years and obtain the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm." Yi Fei was now considered a celebrity in the trial city. He had killed Marquis Bai and beaten the city lord so badly that he did not dare to go out. Gradually, there were many warriors who wanted to befriend Yi Fei. Yi Fei did not reject their good intentions. After all, the more friends he had, the more opportunities he could have. The more people he knew, the more information he could get about Zhao Yu and Lu Qing. Through his conversations with these people, Yi Fei also learned many things about the fighting spirit space. For example, not only were the martial god fighting spirits rare in the fighting spirit space, they were also extremely difficult to capture. Because of this, many people would spend years or even decades in the fighting spirit space, bitterly searching for them. Fighting soul. This also meant that the fighting soul space would not be peaceful. Every time a fighting soul appeared, it could cause a bloodbath. It seems that there will be a fierce battle in the fighting soul space, Yi Fei secretly thought. He did not reject the invitation of these people. Instead, he formed a temporary team with them and entered the fighting soul space together. This way they could take care of each other. It was only after Yi Fei crushed the war spirit token and teleported away that the trial city lord walked out of the city lord mansion with a gloomy expression. He ordered the guards in the city, "Men, quickly capture that Zhou Qiang. I want to put him to death by 1,000 cuts." At the same time, at the entrance of the fighting soul space, 3 men with golden tiger stripes were waiting there with cold expressions. Their auras were very powerful and they were martial emperors. Martial emperors were not allowed to enter the fighting soul space. However, these 3 men were different. Not only were they members of the royal tiger tribe, but they were also members of the divine palace. Therefore, they could secretly enter the fighting soul space through special means. "How is it? Is that guy called Yi Fei here yet?" "He's almost here. Everyone, get ready. This person killed Lord Bai. This is the greatest provocation to the tiger tribe. If this person doesn't die, the tiger tribe won't be able to rest in peace. He's here. Kill him. Roar, roar, roar. 3 frightening tiger roars were emitted from the mouths of the 3 tiger clan martial emperors. Then, the 3 of them attacked at the same time. Their golden tiger palms carried a power that could shatter the heavens and the earth as they continuously struck at the location where the teleportation light was flickering. Yi Fei's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the 4 young quasi-emperors who had been chatting and laughing with him a moment ago and longing to break through to martial emperor explode under the sneak attack of the 3 tiger race martial emperors. Even in death, they did not dare to believe that there would be martial emperors lying in wait to ambush them. This was something that even Yi Fei had not expected. After all, in his opinion, even if the Trial City Lord and the Tiger Tribe wanted to take revenge on him, they should have done so while he was still in the Trial City. The only thing that he did not expect was that the Sky God Temple was behind Lord Bai. Furthermore, the Sky God Temple had a special method. Thus, the martial emperors could also enter the fighting spirit space. Brother Chun, Brother Zhang, Brother Jing, Brother Liu. Yi Fei widened his eyes as he looked at his 4 companions who had died in an instant. Even though they had not known each other for long, they had undoubtedly been implicated by him. Why? If you want to take revenge, it's enough to target me alone. Why do you have to target others? Yi Fei's eyes were red as he rushed out of the shattered space and roared loudly. The 3 tiger race martial emperors coldly mocked him in reply. They are just a group of lowly humans. If they die, then so be it. Not only do they have to die, but anyone who disrespects the Tiger God and the Sky God Temple has to die. Yi Fei die. Kill, Tiger War 8 Wastelands. The 3 tiger race martial emperors had taken action 3 months apart because they needed time to rush over from the Sky God Temple. Secondly, they needed to investigate Yi Fei in detail. When they found out that Yi Fei might be the great demon saint who had passed the golden roll, they were shocked. Subsequently, they became even more determined to kill Yi Fei. As for killing the innocent people, it was naturally convenient to silence them. Otherwise, if they were human experts at the impregnable pass, they would have killed the great demon saint. Even if they were from the tiger race, they would not be able to explain themselves if they killed the peerless demon of the human race. No, with my strength, I can deal with 1 martial emperor. However, if I have to deal with 3 martial emperors at the same time, I will definitely be defeated. The most important thing for me now is to find a way to capture the fighting soul and break through to the martial emperor realm. Only by breaking through to the martial emperor realm can I take revenge for everyone. Yi Fei's heart was filled with rage. However, he did not lose his rationality. When he found out that the 3 tiger race martial emperors were attacking him, Yi Fei immediately lost his desire to fight. Instead, he activated the Heavenly Saint demonic art and created an illusion to rush forward. At the same time, he had already entered the void and was about to use the Great Void technique to escape. Die, Tiger Tooth Star Shattering Fist. One of the martial emperors suddenly transformed into a divine tiger. He clenched his huge tiger palm into a fist and shattered the void around him. Yi Fei was also forced out of the void. His face was filled with shock. Soon after, he came to his senses. It must be the Trial City Lord. That old cunning dog, he could not defeat me. Therefore, he purposely sold out all the martial techniques I know to these tiger race martial emperors. Yi Fei was furious. In a hurry, he quickly threw out the Azura Divine Fist and collided with the Tiger Race Martial Emperor's star-shattering fist. However, there was more than 1 martial emperor present. When they saw Yi Fei being forced out of the void, they suddenly roared and charged at Yi Fei from the left and right. Heavenly Cauldron Suppressing Deities. Yi Fei did not panic in the face of danger. Suddenly, he roared. The true essence in his body condensed into an ancient battle cauldron with 3 handles, suppressing gods and demons. It also blocked the sneak attacks of the 2 martial emperors. The 3 tiger race martial emperors were shocked. Heavenly cauldron suppressing gods. Damn it, he is so young. He has not even cultivated for 100 years. How could he have mastered so many immemorial heavenly techniques? We can't hesitate any longer. Let's join hands and kill him instantly. Bloody spear. Kill, kill, kill. The 3 tiger race martial emperors suddenly connected their auras and formed a mysterious combined attack formation. It shook the void, and the emperor's might was unparalleled. At this moment, a terrifying blood spear that was 10 times larger than the Trial City Lord's spear appeared. It pierced through Yi Fei's battle cauldron and stabbed towards Yi Fei's body like a bolt of lightning. Yi Fei's face immediately turned pale. He understood that with his current strength, fighting against 3 martial emperors was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. He was courting death. However, it was not impossible for him to escape. Chapter 1763. The 8th-level Heavenly Dragon was an extremely powerful martial skill. Now that he was using 4 immemorial celestial skills, its power was raised to an unimaginable level. The 3 Tiger Tribe martial emperors saw 8 huge worlds whizzing toward them. Not only did they shatter their joint bloody spear, but they were also enveloping them. Oh my God, what immemorial celestial skill is this? It can actually block our joint attack. No, this is definitely not an immemorial celestial skill. Did you see that? His martial skill contains 4 immemorial celestial skills. This might be a sovereign skill. What? Sovereign? He is just a lowly human. What right does he have to possess a sovereign skill that we martial emperors don't have? Roar. The 3 Tiger Clan's martial emperors all roared furiously. However, amidst their anger, their eyes were also filled with deep shock and greed. Originally, they had only wanted to avenge Lord Bai and kill a peerless genius of the human tribe. No one had expected Yi Fei's battle strength to be so shocking. Not only did he control so many immemorial celestial skills, but he could also use them at the same time. Mastery and use were 2 different levels. Any martial emperor could master a few immemorial celestial skills as long as they were willing to spend some time. However, it was extremely difficult to use all these immemorial celestial skills at the same time. Without a sovereign skill or above, it was impossible to do so. In Yi Fei's heart, he did not want to expose the 8th-level Heavenly Dragon. Not only would that attract the attention of the human tribe's experts, but there was also a possibility that the human tribe's experts would force him to hand over the heavenly venerate cultivation method in the name of protecting the human tribe. Therefore, before he broke through to the martial emperor realm, Yi Fei had always kept it a secret. Lulu. This time, facing the sneak attack of the 3 Tiger Tribe martial emperors, it was a matter of life and death. Yi Fei could no longer keep it a secret. He could only use the 8th-level Heavenly Dragon 3 times in a row and use 4 immemorial celestial skills at the same time to block the fatal attacks of the 3 Tiger Tribe martial emperors. Unfortunately, using the 8th-level Heavenly Dragon and using 4 immemorial celestial skills at the same time consumes a terrifying amount of true origin. I only used 3 moves and my true origin has already been consumed by 90%. Shock flashed across Yi Fei's face. This was the first time he had used 4 primordial heaven arts in battle. The horrifying consumption of quintessence startled Yi Fei. He understood that such a method was not something that a quasi-emperor like him could support. Unless he could break through to martial emperor, he would not be able to bring out the true might of the 8 extreme heavenly dragons. Fortunately, The 3 moves of the 8th-level heavenly dragon were enough to hold off the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors for a while. Taking advantage of this time, Yi Fei immediately called out the dragon turtle. "Blackie, let's run." After he finished speaking, Yi Fei sat cross-legged on the dragon turtle's back. He took out a large number of spirit stones and rapidly refined them to restore his rapidly consumed true essence. When the dragon turtle saw that Yi Fei was facing 3 true martial emperors this time, it was so scared that its body started to tremble violently. Aside from giving Yi Fei another mark on the black wooden token, the dragon turtle exerted all its strength. Before Yi Fei could finish speaking, the dragon turtle had already taken off. As the dragon turtle fled for its life, it burned its body of fat like it was fat. When the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors furiously smashed apart the heavenly dragons that surrounded them, intending to chase after Yi Fei, they were shocked to see an unbelievably fat black turtle instantly disappear before their eyes like a flash of black lightning. That speed was something that even martial emperors would not be able to do. They were slightly ashamed of themselves. One of the tiger tribe martial emperors rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Finally, he was certain that he had not seen wrongly. Yi Fei was indeed sitting on a black turtle. In the blink of an eye, the black turtle had disappeared without a trace. Pooh! The second tiger tribe martial emperor was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood. Roar! Yi Fei, don't think of leaving. Kill. You must kill this human. You must not give him the chance to grow. The last tiger tribe martial emperor was so angry that he roared like a mad tiger. In the end, he really turned into a huge divine tiger the size of a mountain. A pair of dazzling golden wings sprouted from his back. Unwilling to give up, he chased after the dragon turtle. The other 2 martial emperors also exchanged glances. They saw the shock and fear in each other's eyes. One had to know that Yi Fei was currently only a heaven-grade quasi-emperor. Yet, he was able to control 4 immemorial heavenly techniques in one go. His talent was terrifying and his quintessence was vigorous. It was simply rare in the world. If this child successfully breaks through to martial emperor in the fighting spirit space and completely unleashes the might of the immemorial heavenly techniques, he will definitely become a great threat to our tiger tribe. The human tribe will also gain an exceptional martial god. Kill. We must kill him. We must not let the human tribe grow stronger. We must not let this child live to become a martial emperor. Even if we chase after him for 10 years or 100 years, we must not let him go. Roar. As they spoke, the 2 tiger tribe martial emperors also transformed into huge divine tigers with wings. Not only did their strength increase tremendously, but their speed also increased by at least 2-fold. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the distant sky and chased after Yi Fei. When the dragon turtle felt the furious roar of the divine tigers behind it and the terrifying martial emperor's aura, the dragon turtle was so frightened that its black mouth turned white. It quickly turned its head and roared at Yi Fei in panic. "Big Black, don't panic. If we can't outrun them in the sky, we'll run underground. Aren't you the best at digging holes? Hurry up, I'll also set up a few camouflage techniques. Hopefully we can deceive them." Yi Fei sighed. Although the dragon turtle ran faster than a thief, its endurance was not very high. In such a long chase, the dragon turtle would definitely be the first to collapse. Fortunately, Yi Fei had used the spirit stones to recover some quintessence. Although this quintessence was not enough to support him to release the 8th-level heavenly dragon again, he could still activate the heavenly saint demonic technique and form a few phantom doppelgangers. At the same time that Yi Fei condensed his doppelgangers and fled in all directions, the dragon turtle also brought Yi Fei and landed on the ground. With a swipe of its dragon claws, a large hole appeared on the ground. In order to avoid being discovered by the pursuing martial emperors, as the dragon turtle dug the hole, it also swallowed all the soil it dug out. When Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao saw this, their eyes lit up. Big Black, so you can eat dirt. Why didn't you say so earlier? The dragon turtle, who was still focused on digging, immediately turned pale. It suddenly regretted swallowing all the dirt. However, it was too late to regret now. While the dragon turtle was digging a hole and eating dirt, Xiao Qiao clearly sensed three extremely tyrannical auras. They covered the sky and covered the earth, covering an area of several tens of thousands of meters. Soon after, Yi Fei also sensed three extremely terrifying spiritual senses. Not only were they scanning the sky, they were also scanning the ground. Yi Fei was startled. He understood that these three tiger race martial emperors were also extremely experienced experts. If he simply let the dragon turtle dig a hole, it might not be able to hide from their spiritual senses. Sensing the danger, the dragon turtle suddenly couldn't be bothered to hide anymore. It hurriedly spat out the soil that it had just eaten, forming a torrent of soil that instantly sealed the hole that it had dug out. Then, the dragon turtle rolled its eyes and lay on the ground with its four legs facing the sky. It was no longer breathing. Chapter 1764. The speed of the three Tiger Clan martial emperors was very fast. Almost as soon as the dragon turtle blocked the entrance to the cave, three extremely powerful divine senses had already swept across the sky and the ground in all directions. With the help of the illusions created by the heavenly sage demonic technique, the divine senses of two of the Tiger Clan martial emperors rushed toward the escaping illusions in an attempt to determine whether Yi Fei's real body was among them. However, the last martial emperor of the Tiger Clan was extremely cunning. Not only did he search the sky, but he also sent his spiritual sense directly into the ground, searching for any trace of Yi Fei's concealment, inch by inch. Under such circumstances, simply playing dead would not be able to fool the martial emperors. However, Yi Fei believed that since the dragon turtle dared to play dead like this, it must have a way that he did not know of to deceive the martial emperors. That was indeed the case. Just as the martial emperor's divine sense was about to reach this area, the turtle shell of the dragon turtle that was playing dead on the ground suddenly emitted a layer of bright demonic light. Then, this demonic light enveloped the entire underground cave. Yi Fei was immediately shocked to discover that he had actually lost his sense of the martial emperor's divine sense. Demonic qi can be used like this? Not only can it isolate one's aura, but it can also isolate one's divine sense. After understanding that the dragon turtle was very good at playing dead, Yi Fei heaved a sigh of relief. However, together with Xiao Qiao, they did their best to conceal their auras. Soon, the Tiger Clan martial emperor's divine sense also found the underground cave where Yi Fei was. However, due to the isolation of the dragon turtle's demonic light, Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao did their best to conceal their auras. If they did not use their eyes and only used their divine sense, it would be very easy for the Tiger Clan martial emperor to make a wrong judgment. They would think that the thing blocking their divine sense was some kind of rock and would not be able to sense any trace of life. How is it, third brother? Did you find out which direction that brat escaped in? At this moment, the other two Tiger Clan's martial emperors also arrived from nearby. After killing the phantoms that Yi Fei had released, they landed on the ground at the same time. Due to the fact that their bodies were too large, they caused the ground to sink a lot. However, the hole that the dragon tortoise dug was very ingenious. It happened to be at the edge of where the three martial emperors were standing. Even though the ground sank, the tiger race martial emperor in charge of searching underground did not discover anything strange. In the end, he could only unwillingly withdraw his spiritual sense and say, "I did not discover anything either. It's too well hidden, or that big black turtle is too good at running." Run? Where can he run to? The fighting spirit space is only so big, and the most important place is the fighting spirit city. I think that no matter where this brat has escaped to, we should rush to the fighting spirit city. If he wants to capture a fighting spirit, he can only go there. The tiger tribe elder said in a deep voice. He said. His second brother agreed with him. However, the third brother was a little cunning. Big brother, I agree with your analysis. However, we have to be careful. Yi Fei might be afraid of our pursuit and take the opportunity to escape from the fighting spirit space. That's right, there is such a possibility. Let's do it this way. Let's go back to the entrance and destroy the teleportation platform there. After that, we will rush to the fighting spirit city and settle the score with that brat. The second brother of the tiger tribe said gloomily. The tiger tribe elder immediately shook his head and said, No, you can go if you want to. I was careless and was injured by that brat's sky dragon. I need to heal now. Third brother, that won't do. That brat called Yi Fei calls himself the demon saint. He must be a black-hearted, ruthless, and cunning little devil. What if he attacks you secretly when you are alone? The tiger tribe elder said worriedly. Hearing these words, the third brother of the tiger clan could not help but laugh out loud. Ha ha, big brother, second brother, you guys have overestimated that lowly human. Right now, he is like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. He has long been scared witless. How would he have the guts to come back and find trouble with us? Besides, I have also prepared. After you leave, I will set up a killing array on the ground. Even if that brat is as cunning as a fox, if he dares to come in, I will be able to trap him to death. As he spoke, the tiger tribe elder was filled with confidence. He set up a large killing array on the ground, ensuring that even a mosquito that flew in would be crushed to death. Seeing that the tiger tribe elder was preparing, the tiger tribe elder and second brother moved and rushed towards the entrance of the fighting spirit space. They planned to destroy the teleportation platform there and cut off any possibility of Yi Fei escaping from the fighting spirit space. The tiger tribe elder, who was left behind, immediately activated the killing array and covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. Only then did he find a safe place to sit down and begin to heal his injuries. Yi Fei also discovered gloomily that the tiger tribe martial emperor was sitting on the ground above the cave that the dragon turtle had dug out. At this time, if he continued to play dead, he would be safe as long as he could hold out until the tiger tribe martial emperor finished healing and left. However, if I let this person finish healing and meet up with the other two martial emperors, 3 against 1, unless I break through to the martial emperor realm, I won't be a match for the tiger tribe. However, if I can take advantage of the fact that this tiger tribe martial emperor is injured and secretly kill one of them, 2 against 1, even if I can't defeat them, they can forget about chasing after me so easily. After weighing the pros and cons, Yi Fei felt that this risk was worth taking. If he didn't take advantage of the tiger tribe martial emperor being alone to make the first move, he would only be chased by the tiger tribe martial emperor until he had nowhere to go. Blackie, go up first and attract their attention. Also, create an opportunity for me to make my move. After waiting for about 15 minutes, the two martial emperors had already left. Only then did Yi Fei order the dragon turtle, who was still playing dead, to quickly crawl out. Hearing Yi Fei's order, the dragon turtle finally found the best reason not to be slaughtered and made into soup. Therefore, it put in extra effort and immediately raised its dragon claws and dug upward. What's going on? Why is the ground sinking so quickly? On the ground, the tiger tribe martial emperor took out a large number of spirit stones to refine and heal his injuries. However, before he could start, his body was sinking rapidly. This strange change gave the tiger tribe's third brother a fright. His battle instincts made him instantly jump into the air. Another tiger claw tore open the soil on the ground, revealing the back of a large black turtle that was constantly digging. How is this possible? I've clearly checked with my divine sense. There's no life here. Why would such a fat turtle come out from the ground? No, it's kill. The ground surged and sword light soared into the sky. Just as the tiger tribe's third brother recognized the dragon turtle, Yi Fei had already raised the limitless sword and charged out of the ground, slashing towards the sky. Chapter 1765. The Tiger Clan's third brother was indeed the most cunning one. Although he said that he wanted to kill Yi Fei, his speed of escape was actually faster than anyone else's. He even secretly took out his voice transmission mirror and tried to contact the Tiger Clan's first brother and second brother, hoping that they could rush over to help. Big Black attack. Activate the killing formation. Yi Fei's expression was cold. Since he had decided to attack, he naturally wouldn't give the Tiger Clan's third brother any chance to escape. Just as he charged out and disrupted his opponent's formation, the dragon turtle also rushed to the eye of the killing formation that the Tiger Clan's third brother had set up. It immediately raised its dragon claw and pressed down on the eye of the formation. No! The Tiger Clan's third brother's expression changed drastically. Only then did he remember that he had sinisterly set up a killing formation in the surroundings to prevent Yi Fei from launching a sneak attack. Under normal circumstances, if Yi Fei launched a sneak attack on him from the outside, the killing formation would definitely be activated immediately and cause Yi Fei to lose a layer of skin even if he didn't die. However, what made the Tiger Clan's third brother so aggrieved that he wanted to vomit blood was that Yi Fei hadn't charged in from the outside. Instead, he had charged out from underground within the killing formation. This way, not only was the killing formation unable to trap Yi Fei to death, but his escape into the sky had also caused him to fall into the range of the killing formation's attack. Rumble! As the dragon turtle activated the killing formation, countless sword shadows suddenly appeared in the sky. There were also countless vengeful spirits who let out mournful howls and lunged at the Tiger Clan's third brother in a frenzy. These vengeful spirits didn't care who had set up the killing formation. After all, the principle of the formation was that whoever activated the eye of the formation would be in control of the formation. Since the dragon turtle had activated the eye of the formation, the killing formation naturally fell under the dragon turtle's control. I hate you so much. God-damned black turtle, you will die a horrible death. The Tiger Clan's third brother's furious and aggrieved roar came from the sky. However, he still didn't turn around nor did he stop. Instead, he relied on his understanding of the killing formation to constantly avoid the oncoming sword shadows and ferocious vengeful spirits. He would rather be injured by the killing formation so that he could escape from its attack range as quickly as possible. It had to be said that the Tiger Clan's third brother was indeed a character. None of those who could break through to Martial Emperor were simple people. It's a pity that you met me. I don't blame you for ambushing me, but you shouldn't have killed those innocent people. Thinking of his 4 companions who had died because of him, Yi Fei's body suddenly erupted with an incomparably terrifying killing intent. Then, he raised the limitless sword and charged into the killing array. The intense sword light, along with the heavy power of the limitless sword, was like an incomparably resplendent star that continuously flew towards the tiger. The third elder angrily smashed over. Roar! Demon Yi, I'll fight it out with you! When he realized that Yi Fei was actually crazy enough to charge into the killing array to kill him, the Tiger Clan's third brother also went completely crazy. With a shake of his body, he directly revealed the huge body of a divine tiger. He destroyed the attack of the killing array and fiercely grabbed at Yi Fei's limitless sword. In the Tiger Clan's third brother's opinion, Yi Fei was relying on the divine weapon in his hand. As long as he could snatch away Yi Fei's divine weapon, then Yi Fei would have nothing to be afraid of. However, although the Tiger Clan's third brother's plan was very good, he had overlooked one thing: the limitless sword's astonishing weight. After all, the limitless sword was refined by the limitless sword god back then by destroying several stars. It was the opportunity for him to break through to martial God. Later on, the limitless sword was ordered by Tianjinzi to refine it again. Its power became even more terrifying. When Yi Fei swung the limitless sword with all his might, the light that bloomed was truly like an incomparably resplendent star that could shatter heaven and earth and shatter the void. No matter how strong the Tiger Clan's martial emperor's tiger body was, it could not possibly reach the level of a divine weapon. When Yi Fei's sword smashed down, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. The Tiger Clan's third brother's tiger paw was badly mutilated by the limitless sword. A deep bloody hole appeared on it. The intense pain caused him to go berserk on the spot. He ignored the injury on his paw and endured the pain. Then, he swung his tiger tail like a pair of scissors at Yi Fei's body. He was going to cut Yi Fei in half even if he was injured. Heavenly cauldron suppressing deities. Yi Fei roared. He did not even look at the Tiger Clan's third brother's tiger tail. As he swung his sword wildly, all the true origin in his body suddenly erupted. It formed a strange true origin battle cauldron that protected him. At the same time, Yi Fei swung the limitless sword again. Once again, the limitless sword god smashed a bloody hole in the ground. Roar! Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. The intense pain caused the Tiger Clan's third brother to become even more berserk. He had completely turned into a berserk tiger. At this moment, he even ignited his martial emperor's blood essence. His already frightening tiger tail immediately blossomed with dazzling crimson light. With a loud bang, he smashed Yi Fei's battle cauldron into pieces. However, just as Old Three of the Tiger Clan was about to lash Yi Fei to death at the cost of serious injuries, Yi Fei roared once again. His body also ignited with raging blood flames. At the same time, a layer of blood-red bloodline divine armor once again protected him. Old Three of the Tiger Clan's tiger tail quickly covered him. The divine armor was smashed into pieces. However, Yi Fei roared again. His body shone with a dazzling golden light again. The battle demon's golden body was activated again. Instantly, every cell and every piece of flesh in his body shone brightly like stars. The terrifying golden demonic light covered the sky and the earth. The might of the battle demon shook the heavens and the earth. Finally, accompanied by a shocking roar, Yi Fei's limitless sword completely smashed the Tiger Clan's third brother's physical defense. Then, a starry divine sword pierced through the Tiger Clan's third brother's head with unparalleled power. You actually have so many defenses. The Tiger Clan's third brother angrily glared at Yi Fei. With his strength, even if he were to die, he could drag Yi Fei down with him. But, the Tiger Clan's third brother felt extremely aggrieved. What angered him the most was that Yi Fei's defenses were too exaggerated. Not only did he have the battle cauldron, he also had the bloodline divine armor. Not only that, Yi Fei also had the battle demon's golden body. These layers of defense were like a tortoise shell that could never be penetrated. Therefore, the Tiger Clan's third brother could only watch with hatred as his body was pierced through and then torn to pieces by the endless killing array around him. What a pity! This killing array is too strong. Even the space belt was destroyed. It's a pity that the Tiger Clan's martial emperor's treasures were destroyed. Yi Fei landed on the ground and looked at the Tiger Clan's third brother, who was smashed to pieces by the killing array. While he breathed a sigh of relief, his body felt weak again. After all, his opponent was also a martial emperor and an expert who had experienced the human tribe's impregnable pass. Although the tiger's tail did not shatter his golden body, it still caused some damage to his body. He was injured to a certain extent. It looks like I'm starting to lose the advantage of having an invincible physical body when facing a martial emperor. Unless I can think of a way to quickly obtain 5,000 spirit veins and successfully cultivate the 11th level of the battle demon way. Big Black, let's go quickly. Chapter 1766. Yi Fei's conjecture was not wrong. Almost at the same time that he killed the Tiger Clan's third brother, the other two Tiger Clan martial emperors roared angrily. They transformed into divine tigers and rushed back from afar. They were still a step too late. Yi Fei had already left on the dragon turtle. On the ground, there was only a pool of flesh and blood and the broken killing array. Third brother, you died so miserably. That damned demon Yi. He didn't sneak attack from the outside but hid underground. I don't know what method he used to hide from our divine senses. Since the Tiger Clan's third brother had died, the eldest brother and second brother could only investigate the cause of death. In the end, they did not know if they did not investigate. After investigating, they vomited blood. It turned out that Yi Fei had been hiding underground all along. However, the Tiger Clan's third brother did not notice. He even set up a killing array and stayed here to heal his injuries. Upon discovering this, the two Tiger Clan martial emperors were both hurt and hurt. Tears fell from their tiger eyes on the spot. Eldest brother, third brother died so miserably. If we don't think of a way to kill that demon Yi, where will the dignity of our Tiger Clan be? The second brother of the Tiger Clan was heartbroken. The eldest brother of the Tiger Clan quickly comforted him. Second brother, don't worry. We will definitely avenge third brother. This lowly human will also die in our hands. Eldest brother, what should we do now? The second brother of the Tiger Clan did not like to use his brain. He preferred the pleasure of tearing humans apart and eating them with his bare hands. A cold glint flashed in the eldest brother's tiger eyes. He laughed sinisterly. Now that the teleportation array at the entrance of the fighting spirit space has been destroyed by us, the only place Yi Fei can go to is Fighting Spirit City. Coincidentally, there are many geniuses from other clans gathered there. We have to inform them in advance and let them intercept Yi Fei. When we get there, we can easily kill this lowly human and take revenge. Yes, revenge. Ordinary humans are no different from the pigs and dogs we raise in captivity. The meat of pigs and dogs is too disgusting. Eating humans is the most delicious. Especially women and children, their skin is soft and tender. I haven't eaten them in a long time. As the second brother of the Tiger Clan spoke, he swallowed his saliva. War Soul City. This was a city that had been built by the martial artists that had entered the fighting spirit space. Although it was called a city, it was actually just a city built by the martial artists with remarkable abilities. They had moved several mountains and cut them into 4 walls. Then, they had piled up some huge rocks and dug out many caves. These were the cultivation caves of the martial artists. Although the fighting spirit city looked simple and crude, those who could enter the fighting spirit space were definitely geniuses among geniuses. They were either powerful or wealthy. In this place, the top geniuses were at the bottom. Peerless geniuses and half-step monstrous geniuses could be seen everywhere. In the fighting spirit space, not only were there martial god fighting spirits, there was also a huge amount of spiritual qi. This spiritual qi was purposely released by the human race experts in order to make it convenient for everyone. Cultivation. In the end, not only were the martial god fighting souls powerful, but they were also very difficult to capture. Some people had been in the fighting soul space for more than 10 years and still might not be able to capture one. For such a long time, if there was no spiritual energy to support him, he could only stop moving forward. Not only would it delay his time, but it would also delay his cultivation. Therefore, the human race experts would purposely release a huge amount of spiritual qi into the fighting spirit space. This way, even if the martial artists could not capture the fighting spirits, they could still cultivate in peace. Walking into the city, Yi Fei used his spiritual force to sense around. He discovered that there were many martial artists who were cultivating in seclusion in the nearby cave. Many of them were abnormally powerful boundary emperors. Some of them had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for 3 to 5 years. Some of them had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for more than 10 years. It was said that the longest one had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for a few hundred years and had not left. These people were here to capture the martial god fighting spirit. Even if they could not capture the fighting spirits, they could still cultivate in the fighting spirit space for more than a few hundred years. Then, they might have the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. This information was given to me by Brother Zhang and the others who came with me. It's a pity that they did not die in the hands of the fighting spirits. Instead, they were assassinated by the Tiger tribe. Thinking of this, Yi Fei's eyes flashed with sadness. However, he quickly pulled himself together. The dead were gone and it was useless to be sad. The most important thing for him now was to find the fighting spirits and break through to the martial emperor realm. When I break through to the martial emperor realm, I will definitely make the Tiger tribe and the Trial City master pay the price in blood. Yi Fei's eyes became determined. He then strode toward the gap in the valley in the distance. He did not choose to stay in Fighting Spirit City. Instead, he planned to pass through the city and enter the legendary Fighting Spirit Canyon. There were many martial god fighting spirits hidden in the canyon. However, these fighting spirits were very difficult to capture. They also carried the nomological aura of the martial god when he was alive. Therefore, many martial artists came with confidence, but many of them died in the hands of the fighting spirit. In the end, they were devoured by the fighting spirits and turned into a group of vengeful spirits. Before he even got close to the canyon, Yi Fei could already feel waves of bloody killing aura rushing towards him. Vaguely, he could even see the vengeful souls of the powerful warriors that had died. The Bone Demon was in the canyon, looking at Fighting Spirit City, letting out a sinister and cold laugh. It was for this reason that many martial artists did not capture the fighting spirits the first thing they did when they entered Fighting Spirit City. Instead, they made friends and formed a team. After all, there was strength in numbers. It was better to form a team than to go in alone and die. Of course, there were also those who went in alone. However, other than the true experts, most of the martial artists who went in alone were killed by the fighting spirit. Their spirits turned into vengeful spirits, and their corpses turned into bone demons. Therefore, when they saw Yi Fei walking into the Fighting Spirit Canyon alone, many people in the caves and on the rocks of Fighting Spirit City sent out their curious divine senses. They were especially surprised when they realized that Yi Fei was an unfamiliar face. It was obvious that he was a newcomer who had just entered the Fighting Spirit space. Oh my God, this kid is a newcomer. Which continent is he from? Didn't anyone tell him that a newcomer entering the canyon alone is equivalent to courting death? If this person is a peerless genius who has the strength to kill a martial emperor, then entering the canyon alone to hunt fighting spirits is the most suitable choice. Am I right, Brother Yi? At the entrance of the Fighting Spirit Canyon, a young man walked over elegantly from afar. He was as graceful as a white swan. My name is Long Crane. My father is from the human race and my mother is from the winged clan. Long Crane smiled and introduced himself. Chapter 1767. Get out of the way, don't force me to make a move. Yi Fei looked at the Tiger Race Quasi-Emperor and tried his best to suppress his anger. Even though he didn't have a good impression of the other races, Yi Fei didn't need to guess to know that it must be the two Tiger Race martial emperors, since Long Crane was able to recognize him and bring so many experts from the other races to wait here. They must have sent a message to Battle Spirit City in advance. Hearing Yi Fei's words, the Tiger Race Quasi-Emperor, who was blocking the way, immediately became furious. He deliberately used a provocative tone and shouted angrily, "If I, Huang Hu, am to give way just because you say so, won't I, Huang Hu, lose face?" Senior Huang, please pay attention to your tone. Brother Yi, you too. You don't have to worry too much. We won't interfere in the grudge between you and the tiger race. I'm just curious about Brother Ye's strength. Long Crane's position seemed to be very high among this group of outsiders. However, hearing Long Crane's words, even the arrogant tiger race expert Huang Hu unwillingly retreated. However, Huang Hu still blocked Yi Fei's path, not giving Yi Fei any chance to enter Battle Spirit Canyon. Behind Huang Hu stood a large group of experts from the other races. There were a total of 10 to 20 of them. Among them, there were 15 young geniuses and less than 10 older generation experts. This was also very different from the situation of the human race. In the Fighting Spirit City, many of the human race were older generation experts. The number of true young geniuses was very small. This made Yi Fei a little disappointed. He had thought that he might meet some old friends in the Fighting Spirit City. It seems that either Defan and the others didn't enter the Battle Spirit space, or different trial cities have different Battle Spirit spaces. Yi Fei secretly pondered. Seeing that Huang Hu had no intention of making a move, he didn't take the initiative to make a move. Most importantly, he still couldn't be sure if the two tiger race martial emperors had caught up. Thinking of this, Yi Fei's heart moved. He also looked at Long Crane and said, Brother Crane, since you don't want to participate in the grudge between me and the tiger race, then why did you bring so many people to block my way? Brother Yi, you've misunderstood. I'm not trying to stop you. I've said it before, I'm just curious. Moreover, these friends of mine are also very curious about you. You should know that it's been a long time since a human race expert has entered the fighting spirit space, especially young experts like you and me. I mean to you. I'm very interested in you. My guests are also very interested in you. If Brother Yi doesn't mind, why don't you sit here and discuss the Tao with us, and have a few drinks? As he spoke, Long Crane waved his hand, summoning a large cloud from the sky. It condensed into a giant cloud. The foreign experts who had come with him were all familiar with this, and naturally sat down cross-legged on top of the cloud. These clouds either condensed into tables, chairs, lotus flowers, cloud mounts, or cloud giant. They were extremely beautiful and mysterious. Soaring, he displayed his skills even more, continuously summoning multiple layers of colorful clouds and materializing layers of pavilions, buildings, flowers, and trees. He actually turned this ancient and desolate fighting spirit city into a paradise that was like a heavenly palace. Just the method that Soaring he used was not something that an ordinary heaven-grade quasi-emperor could do. Really. In the beast mark space, Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle widened their eyes at the same time as they watched this miraculous scene. A pure white fox girl from the Fox clan was even more dazzled. She looked at Long Crane with some infatuation and said, Young Master He, your methods are really beautiful. This servant really wants to spend the night with you one day. I really wish to have a good chat with you. The fox girl emphasized the words through the night. Her face was flushed red, causing many of the young experts from other races to become restless and their souls to sway. Long Crane was still as calm as ever. After doing all this, he took out a flaming bottle of wine and casually filled dozens of cups to the brim. He distributed them to everyone, then pushed them to Yi Fei and said with a faint smile, Brother Yi, I've embarrassed myself. How is this embarrassing? Brother Long Crane's methods are truly divine. Even I can't help but feel the urge to compete with Brother Long Crane. Yi Fei's face was moved. He truly admired Long Crane's ability to move like clouds and flowing water. He truly admired Long Crane's ability. He couldn't help but have a better impression of Long Crane. Clearly, there were still many earth-shattering young experts among the foreign races. Let's not talk so much. Young Master Long Crane's wine is rare. Let's drink to our heart's content. Whoever dares to not drink is a coward. At the top of the clouds, a young ox man with a pair of horns on his head spoke in a low, muffled voice. His words immediately incurred the dissatisfaction of the fox girl not far away. "Brother Ox, what do you mean? Nu is a girl." Although she said that, the fox girl did not hold back. She drank the wine in her cup in one gulp and then turned the cup upside down. She was a heroine among women. "Ha ha, Sister Fox, you're so straightforward. Looks like I can't fall behind." The young ox man also laughed and drank the wine in one gulp. He also turned the cup upside down. Then, the other foreign youths also laughed and drank the wine. In the end, they all looked at Yi Fei and the wine in Yi Fei's hand with ridicule. They were even waiting to watch a good show. "This kid definitely won't dare to drink it. I bet he'll find an excuse to refuse. The human race is just SOSO. The foreign youths winked at each other after drinking the wine. Long Crane did not rush Yi Fei. He only smiled at Yi Fei. Yi Fei returned a smile. His smile was very clean and mellow. It made people feel at ease from the bottom of their hearts. They believed that someone who smiled like this must be an honest person. Then, under the surprised, shocked, and puzzled gazes of the foreign powerhouses, he took the wine from Long Crane. Yi Fei was not like the other humans they had seen. He did not carefully examine the wine, nor did he find an excuse to refuse. Seeing the wine floating in front of him, Yi Fei smiled. He picked up the cup and drank it in one gulp. "Good wine. It's mellow and rich. Although it's not as strong as our human race's wine, it has a different kind of fragrant beauty. Since Brother Yi likes it, let's drink another cup. I didn't expect there to be someone as interesting as Brother Yi in the human race." Seeing Yi Fei drink the wine, Long Crane could not help but be moved. He suddenly poured another cup of wine solemnly. "Brother Yi, you're indeed a dragon among men. What do you think of the guests around me?" Long Crane seemed to be testing Yi Fei, but he also seemed to be hinting at something else. Yi Fei nodded with a smile. He drank the wine first. Then, with a simple and honest smile, he looked around at the crowd and said, "Except for the yellow-skinned tiger, the rest of you are all young geniuses, heroes among the beasts. To be honest, I'm full of fighting spirit to be able to meet so many foreign powerhouses in one day. Unfortunately what?" Huang, who was a quasi-emperor of the tiger race and an expert of the older generation. He was furious when Yi Fei called him a yellow-skinned tiger. Chapter 1768. Yi Fei's actions immediately caused the entire Battle Spirit City to fall silent. Countless experts of the human race, who were paying attention to the commotion here with their divine senses, were secretly worried for Yi Fei. It had been many years since anyone had dared to say such unyielding words in front of the experts of the other races. It was even a little arrogant. When they heard Yi Fei's arrogant words, the 20 or so experts of the other races, sitting cross-legged on the clouds, all sneered. As a quasi-emperor of the tiger race, Huang, who was the first to stand up in anger. He threw his wine cup on the spot and scolded, "Human race scum, how arrogant! If it weren't for the orders of the two martial emperors, if they were to come and take your life, I would have bitten you to death. Scram! You're just a yellow-skinned tiger. You haven't broken through to the martial emperor realm even though you're a few hundred years old. Since when is it your turn to make a fool of yourself at our gathering of young warriors?" Yi Fei suddenly turned his head and scolded Huang Hu. Especially when he called Yi Fei an old trash tiger, Huang Hu was embarrassed, angry, aggrieved, and berserk at the same time. He was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and pointed at Yi Fei without saying a word. Seeing that Huang Hu was defeated, the bull-horned youth who had provoked him earlier suddenly stood up coldly and said, "Huang Hu is indeed not qualified to participate in our conversation. But what about me? I'm qualified to be your opponent, right? This is Nyoda Li of the ox race. The ox race is born with divine strength. They can push mountains and fill seas. They have evolved into a demigod ox demon and have the power to shatter stars. Long Crane, who was at the side, helped to introduce. Then, he pointed at another youth who stood up and said, "This is Kong Buhue of my winged race, the 9th-ranked expert on the silver list. No, compared to my brother's #1 on the silver list, I'm still far from it. However, it's more than enough to deal with a few ignorant scum of the human race." Kong Buhue sneered at Yi Fei. Yi Fei's arrogant words just now had angered him. "Since everyone is so interested, it seems that I have no choice but to make a move." The pure white vixen rolled her eyes and suddenly stood up. Her beautiful eyes curiously sized up Yi Fei, but there was no gentleness in them. Instead, there was a sense of coldness. This is the little fox fairy of the Fox clan. She was born with the 9 Tails bloodline and has great potential. Even if she doesn't have a fighting soul, she will definitely break through to the martial emperor realm within 10 years. Big brother that's where you're wrong. Just introduce him. Why do you have to expose new news bloodline? However, this human is quite pleasing to the eye. Why don't you become my servant? Perhaps New can help you plead with the 2 martial emperors. I might even let you go. Seeing Yi Fei face the crowd of heroes, he said, "Who knows?" She was still able to remain calm, but the little fox girl was clearly tempted. Her expression was also seductive. This immediately angered the other bear-like youth. Before the little fox girl could finish speaking, he had already stood up and roared, "This arrogant lowlife, if it weren't for the 2 martial emperors, I would have killed him with one slap. Brat, what are you looking at? If you don't want to die now, kneel down and crawl under my crotch." This was no longer a provocation. It was obvious that he wanted to humiliate Yi Fei. Long Crane frowned. Although he didn't like it, he was still patient and prepared to introduce Yi Fei to him. But at this time, Yi Fei extended his hand and stopped Long Crane as he said, "Brother Crane, no need. I have a habit, that is, I don't like to remember the names of dead people. Since everyone is bent on seeking death, if this Yi doesn't fulfill your wish, wouldn't it disgrace my human race's face? Everyone, please die. Nothing else matters. You'd better not move." 8th-level Celestial Dragon. Yi Fei's smile was simple and courteous, but his attack was thunderous and earth-shattering. He didn't give the foreign experts a chance to attack. The roaring 8th-level Celestial Dragon had already formed 8 different worlds, suppressing time and space and destroying heaven and earth. Then, Yi Fei used the Heavenly Sage demonic art, Dragon suppressing the 9 heavens, Heavenly Cauldron suppressing the gods, and Divine Azura Fist at the same time to attack the 4 foreign experts. The complexions of Long Crane and the other young Heaven's Pride experts changed. Some of them suddenly stood up and prepared to counterattack. However, many of them were shocked to find that they couldn't even move under the suppression of the 8 extreme heavenly dragons' space-time power, let alone stand up. In fact, they couldn't even move. This was because there was a great terror all around them, causing them to panic and their souls to shatter. Only Long Crane reacted. He roared, and a silver light burst out from his body. He struggled to get rid of the influence of Yi Fei's 8th-level Celestial Dragon. Then, Long Crane saw an unbelievable scene. In the whole cloud, except for the young experts who were still sitting, everyone who stood up except for him had their bodies shattered. Their bodies fell to the ground stiffly. The first to die was the Bear Tribe youth. Because of his rude remarks, Yi Fei directly smashed him into a pile of meat paste and piled him on the cloud. Then, there was another explosion. The bull-horned youth suddenly turned into a 5-colored sacred bull. His body was full of bloody holes and he fell to the ground. Dong! Suddenly, another huge tiger head rolled down from the sky. It rolled all the way to Yi Fei's feet and was kicked away by Yi Fei. Coincidentally, it kicked into the empty bosom of Buhue. But before Kong Buhue could recover from the shock, there was another exclamation. It was a pure white beauty's head. It suddenly rolled in the middle of the cloud. After a few rounds, it suddenly turned into a furry fox's head, covered with blood. Hiss! Yi Fei is so cruel. He even killed a pure fox fairy. Devil, this is simply a devil. Gosh, when did such a cruel person appear in the human race? No wonder the tiger tribe sent martial emperors to kill him. Sounds of people sucking in cold air could be heard everywhere. Even someone as strong as Soaring Crane felt his hands and feet turn cold at this time. He had received the request of the tiger race martial emperor. That was why he had led a large group of foreign experts to wait here to intercept Yi Fei. However, Long Crane's blood was half human. Therefore, he did not want to go too far. He only promised to intercept Yi Fei, but he would not attack Yi Fei. The banquet just now was to test Yi Fei's courage. Secondly, he hoped that through his introduction, Yi Fei would be intimidated. He hoped that Yi Fei would not act rashly and could only wait patiently for the two tiger tribes' martial emperors to arrive. As for whether Yi Fei would live or die at that time, it would have nothing to do with Long Crane. The only thing that Long Crane hadn't expected was that Yi Fei's methods would be so decisive and ruthless. More than 20 young experts of the foreign races hadn't been able to suppress Yi Fei. Instead, Yi Fei had killed 4 of them in an instant. Chapter 1769. Yi Fei did not care about the shocked, horrified, and complicated expressions of the other foreign expert. He toasted Long Crane and thanked him for his hospitality. Then, he turned around and left. This time, not a single foreign expert dared to stop him. Even Kong Buhui, who had always looked down on the human race, could not help but shiver when he saw the bloody tiger head in his hand. As for why he did not kill Kong Buhui, it was purely because Yi Fei wanted to give face to Long Crane. Who said that the human race is weak? Among our human race, there are still powerful martial gods who are bathed in blood and fighting, and there are still these outstanding young monsters. I just don't know who this person is. He actually attracted so many foreign experts and even tiger race martial emperors to chase after him. That's right. No matter how powerful this young master is, the ones chasing after him are real martial emperors. I hope he can escape with his life under the tiger race's pursuit. Yi Fei's action of killing Huang Hu and the others could be said to be very satisfying. However, Yi Fei's actions had offended the foreign races too ruthlessly. Many people could not help but secretly worry for Yi Fei in their hearts. After all, this was not land, but the human race's battlefield where experts gathered. In this place, no matter how talented a martial artist was, if they did not become a martial emperor, they would only be a slightly stronger ant. And if they wanted to become a martial emperor, even in the fighting spirit space, it was extremely difficult. In the end, those martial emperor fighting spirits would not be willing to be captured by others. The moment Yi Fei stepped into the fighting spirit canyon, there were dozens of terrifying figures in the canyon. They roared and howled as they crazily charged towards Yi Fei. These figures included both men and women, human experts and foreign experts. They were all warriors who had entered the canyon but had been killed by the fighting spirits and turned into vengeful spirits and bone devils. Moreover, the accumulation of resentment over the years had allowed these vengeful spirits and bone devils to develop intelligence. They also knew how to cultivate, and many of them even retained the martial arts techniques they had when they were alive. For example, the vengeful spirit in tattered clothes at the very front was using a mysterious movement technique, constantly flashing as it approached Yi Fei. Roar! The ground behind Yi Fei suddenly exploded, and a rotten skeleton of a divine tiger jumped out. It opened its ghastly white mouth and was about to bite Yi Fei to death. Yi Fei's expression could not help but change. This War Soul Canyon is not an ordinary place of danger. Even experts from the tiger tribe have died here. However, this is not enough to stop me. Taiji 4 Phases Sword. white tiger, azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. Yi Fei couldn't even be bothered to use the 8th-level heavenly dragon. He directly used the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise divine swords. They formed 4 rainbow-like divine sword lights that slashed in all directions. Soon, the vengeful spirits and bone devils that were charging at them were wiped out. However, the strange thing was that these vengeful spirits and bone devils were not killed. Instead, they all turned into flowing light and entered a strange world. In that world, Yi Fei saw countless broken bone devils and vengeful spirits sleeping and recovering. I see. These bone devils and vengeful spirits in the War Soul Canyon cannot be killed. As for why this is so, it should be a test deliberately left behind by the experts of the human tribe. After all, the number of martial god fighting souls was limited. However, there were tens of thousands of martial artists who wanted to break through to the martial emperor realm. Even if he captured all the fighting souls in the fighting soul space, he would not be able to satisfy everyone's need. Rather than let everyone fight and kill each other, it was better to leave these vengeful spirits and bone devils as a test. After all, if he couldn't even resist these weak vengeful spirits and bone devils, then he could forget about capturing the fighting souls formed after the death of a martial emperor. It's a pity that although there are enough vengeful spirits and bone devils, their basic strength is still too weak with my current combat strength. In the end, Yi Fei did not even use his domain. He just relied on the weight of the everlasting sword to smash the vengeful spirits and bone devils that came into contact with him. They were either smashed to death or smashed to pieces. Strange. I have walked so far, but all I have encountered are vengeful spirits and bone devils. Where are the fighting souls? Are there too few of them, or are they hidden too well? Yi Fei became more and more puzzled as he walked. He also found something very strange. The interior of the War Soul Canyon was barren and the ground was scorched black. Could there really be fighting souls in such a place? Yi Fei could not help but become suspicious. At the same time, he was a little anxious. Although Long Crane did not become my enemy for some reason, the Tiger Tribe's martial emperor knew my whereabouts because of this. With their strength, they can easily kill their way into the War Soul Canyon. At that time, it will be 1 against 2. Without breaking through to Martial Emperor, there is no chance of victory. If the Tiger Tribe gathers other experts from other tribes to besiege me, then my life will be in danger. Yi Fei pondered as he walked. Gradually, he became numb to the vengeful spirits and bone devils that appeared from time to time and lowered his guard. At this moment, a vengeful spirit that was charging at him suddenly had a deeply hidden cold glint in its empty eyes. Then, this vengeful spirit followed the other vengeful spirits and howled as it madly charged at Yi Fei. Yi Fei also subconsciously smashed out with his sword, wanting to smash these vengeful spirits into ashes. Suddenly, Yi Fei felt that something was wrong. If it was a moment ago, the everlasting sword would have smashed these vengeful spirits into pieces. But this time, one of the vengeful spirits was not spared. Not only did the vengeful spirit not disperse, it even took the opportunity to speak. At this moment, it opened its black hole-like mouth and bit down on the everlasting sword. A fierce and unparalleled force made Yi Fei feel as if he could not hold on to the everlasting sword. His arm went numb and the everlasting sword was snatched away by the vengeful spirit. Crunch, crunch. On the ground, the sound of gnawing could be heard. However, the everlasting sword was too hard and too heavy. The vengeful spirit was not able to chew the everlasting sword into pieces and eat it. Instead, its entire body bit down on the everlasting sword and it fell from the sky with a thud, smashing into the ground and causing the ground to rumble. Yi Fei was shocked to discover that the ground of the Fighting Soul Canyon was several hundred times harder than the ground outside. Even with the weight of the everlasting sword, it was difficult to damage the ground. Then, Yi Fei looked in shock at the vengeful spirit that was still biting onto the everlasting sword. No, this is not a vengeful spirit. An ordinary vengeful spirit does not have the strength to snatch the everlasting sword from my hands. I know you're a fighting soul. Roar. Realizing that its identity had been exposed, the vengeful spirit that was biting the everlasting sword suddenly transformed from an ordinary vengeful spirit into an even more terrifying gigantic black snake. This black snake had 2 wings, 3 legs, and a dragon horn-like crown on its head. On its forehead, there were mysterious fiend god characters. Chapter 1770. It was not just one fighting soul that appeared in front of Yi Fei. As the fighting soul roared, a chilly wind blew across the land. Another 3 fighting souls that had condensed into innate deities led a large group of vengeful spirits and bone demons. Like a well-trained army, they charged towards Yi Fei crazily. They charged over. The fighting soul that was biting onto the limitless sword was also dragging the limitless sword with all its might. It was quickly moving away from him, not giving him a chance to take back the limitless sword. Yi Fei could not help but be surprised. No wonder so many warriors in the Fighting Soul City, including Long Crane and the others, did not enter the Fighting Soul Canyon easily. It turns out that these fighting souls not only have spiritual intelligence, but also know how to gang up and bully others with numbers. Unfortunately, this little trick doesn't have much effect on me. Use 8 heavenly dragons. Without giving the fighting soul a chance to drag the ultimate sword away, Yi Fei immediately used his strongest martial arts. 8 dragons, driving 4 primordial celestial skills, destroyed the vengeful spirits and bone demons that surrounded him. At the same time, he strode forward and appeared in front of the black serpent fighting soul in an instant. He reached out and took back the ultimate sword. He snatched it back. Roar. The black serpent fighting soul was enraged. Its huge body became as big as a mountain. It opened its black hole-like mouth and tried to devour Yi Fei. Roar. 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 Another 3 roars sounded out, and they charged at Yi Fei from different directions, attacking the one on Yi Fei's left. It was a fighting soul with a bull head and a fiery tail. It spat out void fire and wanted to burn Yi Fei instantly. Yi Fei was about to dodge when he suddenly felt his body stiffen. It was another innate deity with a human face and snake hair. Its eyes shone with a mysterious light that froze heaven and earth and petrified everything. Half of Yi Fei's body was petrified under the mysterious light. Abnormal. The 1,000-legged war soul, which was the last to appear, immediately seized this opportunity and roared towards the sky. Its huge body suddenly began to spin, and the 1,000 legs on its body began to shine with divine light, becoming as sharp as saw-teeth. It spun like a hurricane, wanting to crush Yi Fei's petrified body into pieces. Kill, 8 extreme heavenly dragon. A look of shock flashed across Yi Fei's petrified face. Then, the shock turned into rage. A flame of despair erupted from his body, instantly shattering the layer of stone that enveloped him. At the same time, Yi Fei once again used the powerful 8 extreme celestial dragon. However, what shocked him was that the 8-level heavenly dragon, which could even seriously injure a martial emperor, only sent the 4 war souls flying. It actually did not cause any serious injuries to them. The 4 fighting souls only managed to retreat a short distance, but the 4 fighting souls had already let out even more furious and ferocious roars. They continued to charge towards Yi Fei like innate celestial demons. These fighting spirits are so hard to defeat. It was no wonder that many people had been in the fighting spirit space for tens of years, or even hundreds of years, but it was still difficult to capture a fighting spirit. But this is not a problem for me. Xiao Qiao, come out and get to work. He realized that martial arts were not very effective against these war spirit. Yi Fei's heart skipped a beat. He quickly thought of Xiao Qiao's holy whip, which specialized in attacking divine souls. Strictly speaking, the martial god's fighting spirits were transformed from the martial god's divine soul after his death. Since they were all fighting spirits, then Xiao Qiao's holy whip should be able to attack these fighting spirits as well. When Xiao Qiao heard Yi Fei's words, he immediately took out his vine whip and rode out on the dragon turtle. He urged the dragon turtle to go forward. However, the dragon turtle had eaten too much. When it landed on the ground, the weight on its belly was already very heavy. The dragon turtle's 4 limbs were so full that it could not even reach the ground, let alone run. This stupid turtle, will you die if you eat less? Yi Fei wanted to slaughter the dragon turtle and make a stew out of it at the crucial moment. When the dragon turtle sensed Yi Fei's unfriendly gaze, it was also shocked. It was almost the new year. If it did not work hard and became fat, it would be easily slaughtered. The dragon turtle did not want to be placed on the dining table for no reason. When it realized that its 4 limbs could not reach the ground, the dragon turtle made up its mind and took a deep breath. Then, it used the fat on its belly to touch the ground. The dragon turtle bounced up high like a rubber ball. It even bounced left and right. Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao were dumbfounded by the bouncing, and the 4 war spirits were also dazzled by the bouncing. They simply could not grasp the exact position of the dragon turtle's bouncing. Yi Fei reckoned that even the dragon turtle itself didn't know where it would bounce next. It couldn't be helped, the fat on the dragon turtle's belly was too much and too thick. However, there was one thing that was not bad. No matter how high or fast the dragon turtle bounced, it always maintained its balance on its back. It would not allow Xiao Qiao to fall down or sway from side to side. At least this stupid turtle is still smart. Yi Fei was speechless. Seeing that a small black turtle dared to bounce around in front of them, the 4 fighting spirits were completely enraged. This anger caused them to abandon Yi Fei at the same time. They roared and pounced on the dragon turtle. Xiao Qiao used the holy whip quickly. Yi Fei was shocked and quickly reminded him. Yi. Seeing that the 4 strange creatures wanted to hurt the dragon turtle, Xiao Qiao glared. Xiao Qiao was also very angry. Once Xiao Qiao was angry, the consequences would be very serious. Without waiting for the 4 fighting souls to rush over, Xiao Qiao had already waved her small hand. Dozens of vine whips, which carried a layer of rainbow-colored spiritual wind, were whipped towards the 4 fighting souls. The 4 fighting spirits were disdainful. As the fighting spirits formed after the death of the martial god, they more or less retained some of the Dharma fragments that the martial god had comprehended when he was alive. By relying on these Dharma fragments, the fighting spirits could greatly reduce the damage caused by martial arts. At this moment, the black serpent fighting spirit did not even look at the vine whips that Xiao Qiao was waving. It only cared about opening its black hole-like mouth and wanted to swallow Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle in one gulp. At this moment, Xiao Qiao's vine whips successfully hit the black serpent fighting spirit's body. The black serpent fighting spirit's huge body trembled uncontrollably. Before the black serpent could understand what was going on. Pa. Seeing that the black serpent fighting spirit did not move, Xiao Qiao was angry. He whipped the black serpent fighting spirit 4 to 5 times. The black serpent fighting spirit trembled violently. Roar. The black serpent fighting spirit finally could not withstand the damage from the holy whip and roared angrily. However, as it roared, the black serpent fighting spirit was horrified to find that its huge body was shrinking rapidly under Xiao Qiao's vine whips. Soon, it turned from a mountain to a hill, and from a hill to a few meters. It was a huge snake. In the end, the black serpent fighting spirit could not even maintain the image of a huge snake. It screamed on the spot and its body trembled. It had turned into a black shadow that looked like an earthworm. It fell to the ground and twitched in pain. This scene gave the other fighting souls, who were about to charge forward, a fright. Then, they looked at Xiao Qiao. Chapter 1771. As the dragon turtle jumped around, it looked sympathetically at the fighting soul that had turned from a black snake to a dead snake. It could not help but reminisce about the past when it was beaten up by Xiao Qiao to the point that it almost doubted its life. It was unbearable to recall the past. However, when it saw the powerful fighting soul being beaten up by Xiao Qiao, it doubted its own soul. The dragon turtle felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. Thus, in order to make it easier for Xiao Qiao to fight and for it to enjoy watching, the dragon tortoise jumped even harder. It even jumped over the body of the battle soul that had been beaten into a dead snake and fiercely slammed into the bullhead battle soul that was closest to it. It exuded a domineering aura as if it was the only one who could beat it. It was domineering. Yi Fei also seemed to have an illusion. Strange, Xiao Qiao is the one beating the fighting souls. Why is De He so agitated? Oh no, these fighting souls are the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. Since we have met them, we can't let them run away so easily. Xiao Qiao, continue to beat them. Hit them with all your might. The impact of the spiritual stones was undoubtedly a temptation that Xiao Qiao could not resist. Hence, Xiao Qiao worked even harder. After binding the black snake fighting soul with a vine whip, Xiao Qiao immediately pounced on the other bull-headed fighting soul. This caused the bull-headed fighting soul's face to turn pale with fright. The other two fighting souls started to tremble uncontrollably. After all, although they were fighting souls, they were only mutated from the dead spiritual souls of the martial god. In such a state, they could ignore the martial arts and realms of the warriors. However, in the face of the holy whip, which specialized in attacking the spiritual soul, even the martial god's spiritual soul could only stand there and be beaten without any corresponding defense, let alone a fighting soul. Roar! Xiao Qiao's vine whip had only lashed once at the bull-headed fighting soul, but the bull-headed fighting soul had already cried out in extreme pain. The flames that it had spat out had turned into small flames. Without waiting for the flames to burn, Xiao Qiao lashed out with her vine whip again. The bull-headed fighting soul was even more miserable than the black snake. After 2 lashes, his body was already convulsing, and sparks were spurting out from his mouth and nose. He collapsed to the ground, turning into a pile of mush. This completely frightened the other 2 fighting souls. Before Xiao Qiao could rush over to attack them, the 2 fighting souls had already turned around and ran away. Especially the 1,000-legged fighting soul, it ran away faster than lightning. Although the 2 fighting souls were fast, Yi Fei was even faster. Seeing that the fighting souls were unable to fight back against Xiao Qiao's vine whip, Yi Fei was completely relieved. He immediately used all his strength and rushed towards the 2 escaping fighting souls. The 2 sides instantly engaged in a fierce battle. While Yi Fei was busy dealing with the 2 fighting souls, Xiao Qiao quickly jumped over on the dragon turtle. He waved his small hand again, and the whistling vine whip had already turned into 2 real god whipping whip. With the whistling of the spiritual wind, he whipped the 2 fighting souls a few times consecutively. Then, the 2 fighting souls screamed in terror and fell to the ground with a loud bang. They turned into colorful shadows and fell to the ground. After falling to the ground, Xiao Qiao used his vine whip to tie them up. Yi Fei also took this opportunity to immediately circulate his true origin and infuse it into the bodies of the 4 fighting souls. He immediately started refining them. When the refining was completed, what appeared in front of Yi Fei were no longer the fighting souls in the form of innate gods and demons. Instead, they were 4 strange crystals of different colors. Yi Fei knew that these 4 crystals should be the law fragments left behind by the martial god after his death. As long as he absorbed one of the law fragments, he would be able to obtain the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. Seeing that Yi Fei had actually refined the fighting soul into a sparkling crystal, Xiao Qiao's eyes suddenly lit up. She suddenly asked for a fragment of the heavenly law. Xiao Chao's face revealed a hesitant expression as she bit her finger. Xiao Chao, what did you say? These law fragments seem edible? When Yi Fei understood Xiao Chao's gesture, he was also very surprised. Xiao Chao nodded, indicating that his intuition was definitely not wrong. These sparkling crystals should also be edible to Xiao Chao. After he finished gesturing, Xiao Chao happily hugged the law fragment and took a big bite. Then, Xiao Chao's expression suddenly turned ugly. With a smack, he spat out the law fragment and told Yi Fei aggrievedly that these crystals did not have any spiritual energy. Instead, they contained a strange power that was very unpalatable and very strong. Yi Fei speculated that the thing that Xiao Chao found unpalatable should be divine power. That was a power that only the martial god could possess. It was of a higher level than true yuan. Only the dragon turtle was unwilling to give up. When it heard Xiao Chao say that the law fragment was unpalatable, it immediately stretched out its black mouth with great precision and bit the law fragment to swallow. However, just as it ate half of it, the dragon turtle's body turned from black to green. It was so frightened that it quickly spat out the law fragment. It spat it out. Yi Fei's face immediately twitched violently. However, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. After all, he could still afford Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle eating spirit stones. If Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle suddenly changed to eating law fragments, he would not be able to afford it even if he sold everything he had. However, this law fragment that has been bitten by the dragon turtle cannot be absorbed no matter what. I can only think of a way to sell it to someone else. That's right, why didn't I think of it? Even the law fragment that can be sold for 300 spirit veins will only be more valuable if it can help one break through to the martial emperor realm. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Looking at the eerie fighting soul canyon, Yi Fei suddenly felt something. This canyon was so intimate and so charming. It's decided then. The dragon turtle. Xiao Chao. From now on, we have a small goal, and that is to defeat all the fighting souls in this canyon. We would rather fight 100 by mistake than let any of them escape. If we can accomplish this, we won't eat spirit stones anymore. We will eat spirit veins directly. Yi Fei said hesitantly. He said with determination. Hearing that they could eat spirit veins directly instead of spirit stones, Xiao Chao's eyes immediately widened. He hugged the dragon turtle and happily rolled around on the ground. The dragon turtle was so excited that tears streamed down its face. It had been secretly eating spirit veins in the spirit pagoda for more than a day or two. It was afraid that Yi Fei would find out. Now, he could finally eat the spirit veins openly. The dragon turtle was even more excited than Yi Fei and Xiao Chao. Without saying a word, it carried Xiao Chao and rushed into the distance like a gust of wind. Not long after, a few more fighting souls that were wandering in the canyon were alarmed. They roared and charged toward Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle. Then, Yi Fei sat cross-legged in front of these fighting souls that had been beaten to death. He easily refined these fighting souls and obtained law fragments. At the same time, these fighting souls that had been refined by Yi Fei did not really die. Instead, they entered the strange space again like the vengeful spirits and bone demons and recovered very slowly. Chapter 1772. The fighting spirit space was neither small nor big. At most, it was about the size of an empire. Many ordinary people would find it difficult to walk out of this space in their lifetime. However, for a powerful warrior like Yi Fei, it only took him 2 days to clean up the entire fighting spirit space. The canyon was completely cleaned up. At this moment, not a single fighting spirit could be found in the fighting spirit canyon. This was because all the fighting spirits had been destroyed by Xiao Chao's god-beating whip. All that was left were pieces of the martial god's law fragment. These law fragments were of different colors. According to the law that the martial god had comprehended when he was alive, the color of the law fragments would be different. For example, the massacre law fragment was the color of blood. It was as beautiful as a blood gem. The darkness law fragment was as black as ink and emitted a gloomy aura. For example, the law fragment that Xiao Chao had thought was disgusting and had turned the dragon turtle green. Later on, Yi Fei had discovered that it was a very rare law fragment of poison. The law fragment was filled with poison. Luckily, the dragon turtle had eaten half of it and spat it out. Otherwise, the dragon turtle would have turned into a poisonous turtle. The law fragments that the martial gods have comprehended are different. The divine power contained in the law fragments is also different. The stronger the law, the greater the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. I wonder how many law fragments I will need to break through to the martial emperor realm. Looking at the law fragments on the ground, Yi Fei could not help but feel nervous. After all, he was a person who had been abandoned by the heavens. When he had broken through to the martial emperor realm, he had already experienced many difficulties. It would not be easy for him to break through to the martial emperor realm. The only fortunate thing was that he had already cleared out all the fighting spirits in the fighting spirit space with Xiao Chao. Now, he had enough law fragments to break through to the martial emperor realm. Furthermore, the other two martial emperors from the tiger tribe could attack at any time. Yi Fei did not have time to hesitate. If I don't break through to the martial emperor realm now, I will definitely not be a match for the two martial emperors. If I want to win, the only way is to break through to the martial emperor realm immediately. I will definitely avenge Brother Zhang and the others. Also, this time I will definitely not let this person off. When Yi Fei thought of his companions who had entered the fighting spirit space with him but had been killed by the Tiger Tribe's martial emperor, a gloomy killing intent involuntarily flashed in his eyes. After that, he no longer hesitated. He picked up a fragment of the laws in his hand and frantically refined it. Boom! As Yi Fei refined it, the law fragment began to emit an intense divine light. This divine light was the power of the martial god contained within the law fragment. This energy was violent, powerful, and even had an intense aura of the laws. It was completely different from the calmness of spiritual energy. This was also the reason why Xiao Chao found it unpalatable. If spiritual energy was fruit wine, then divine power was undoubtedly the strongest liquor. When this liquor-like divine power surged into Yi Fei's body, Yi Fei's spiritual soul immediately began to vibrate. The 9 heavenly territories in his body were like 9 bright stars that suddenly rushed out of Yi Fei's body. They were also like stars as they floated above Yi Fei's head. When they sensed the divine power aura that Yi Fei had refined, the Tai Chi territory, which was the first to form, suddenly produced a strong suction force that ferociously absorbed all of the divine power that Yi Fei had refined. Boom! After being nourished by the divine power, the entire Tai Chi territory immediately emitted a dazzling divine light. It was blazing like a purple-gold sun that lit up the surrounding sky and land. However, Yi Fei did not feel any signs of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. He was stunned. However, when he saw the 8 heavenly territories behind him, he could not help but smile bitterly. Indeed, the more territories I have, the harder it is to break through to the martial emperor realm. I have a total of 9 heavenly territories. It is very likely that I will need to refine 9 law fragments at the same time in order to break through to the martial emperor realm. After noticing the change in the Tai Chi territory, Yi Fei did not hesitate. He immediately took out another law fragment and quickly refined it. As Yi Fei refined the law fragment, the other 8 territories behind him started to vibrate. Among them, the Blood Demon territory, which was the strongest, took the initiative to absorb enough divine power. Soon, a blazing blood sun appeared between heaven and earth. It hung high in the sky, competing with the Tai Chi territory. However, the Taichi territory and the Blood Sun had not been formed for long. Another thunder sun that flickered with boundless lightning rose into the sky with a loud rumble. It exploded with a dazzling divine light of lightning. Roar! Soon, the roar of a divine dragon resounded between heaven and earth. The image of a huge azure dragon shone with divine light, majestic and mighty. A dragon roamed the world. Then, a vermilion bird covered in flames appeared. It formed a terrifying fire sun that rushed into the sky and set the sky ablaze. However, before the sky and earth could burn, the flames suddenly froze, forming ice crystals that hung in the sky. Finally, when Yi Fei's 9 territories shone with divine light at the same time, it was as if 9 different colored suns had appeared in the entire fighting spirit space. They lit up the entire fighting spirit space and shocked all the cultivators in Fighting Spirit City. Heavens, 9 suns in the sky. Someone is trying to break through to the martial emperor realm. This is too terrifying. An ordinary cultivator would have the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm if they could light up 1 territory. However, this person actually lit up 9 territories in one go. Who is this person? How many fighting spirits did he capture, and how many law fragments did he refine? Demon, the person who lit up the territories must be one of those legendary demons. I know who he is. I know who he is too. Boom! As the strange phenomenon of 9 suns appeared in the fighting spirit space, all the cultivators in Fighting Spirit City thought of one person at the same time. That was Yi Fei. Between cups of wine, he looks down on the foreign experts as if they are nothing. While he is chatting, he kills the foreign experts as if they are dogs. The person who broke through to the martial emperor realm must be Yi Fei. Only Yi Fei can cause the strange phenomenon of 9 suns in the sky. Countless human experts were cheering. After all, Yi Fei was also a human. Once Yi Fei broke through to the martial emperor realm, the human tribe would have one more expert. When they saw the 9 suns in the sky and the calm crane soaring into the sky, they could not help but take a deep breath. Then, they lowered their heads dejectedly. He is indeed a peerless demon. In terms of talent, I am not as good as Brother Yi. Humph, crane soaring sky, pay attention to your status. He's just a lowly human. Even if he has one of the 10 great divine bodies, he can forget about breaking through to the martial emperor realm in this lifetime, let alone being a peerless demon. The faces of the Tiger clan's eldest brother and second brother were cold. Chapter 1773. Yi Fei, hurry up and come out to die, 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 die. The earth-shattering roar was like thunder, like a war drum, shaking the heavens and the earth. It also shook the entire fighting spirit space. When the 2 martial emperors saw that Yi Fei had lit up 9 heaven-grade domains in one breath, they were shocked. At the same time, they could no longer hide their murderous intent. This was the most crucial moment for Yi Fei to break through the martial path barrier and become a martial emperor. The 2 Tiger tribe martial emperors' furious roars and murderous intents were secretly trying to disturb Yi Fei's mind. It would be best if Yi Fei panicked and lost the opportunity to break through to martial emperor. As expected. The commotion caused by my breakthrough to martial emperor is too great. These 2 Tiger tribe martial emperors not only want to disturb my mind, but they also want to prevent me from becoming a martial emperor. Unfortunately, you are too late. I lack many things, but the one thing I lack the most is law fragments. Break through the martial path barrier. Yi Fei ignored the 2 Tiger tribe martial emperors from Fighting Spirit City. After refining the 9th law fragment, he quickly took out the 10th law fragment and started to refine it frantically. Rumble! As Yi Fei refined the law fragment, an even more intense divine light erupted from the 9 sun-like domains. If it was said that Yi Fei had only lit up the domains at the beginning, then when he refined the 10th law fragment, He was no longer just lighting up the domains. Instead, he was completely igniting the 9 domains. They were burning like stars. The many cultivators from Fighting Spirit City did not even need to get close. They only needed to raise their eyes to see the 9 blazing domains in the sky above Fighting Spirit Canyon instantly turn into 9 dazzling domain stars. With a whistling sound and divine light, the domain stars crashed down on Yi Fei's body with a loud bang. Then, they charged fiercely toward Yi Fei. Within his body, there was an invisible martial arts barrier that existed in the unseen world. No. Damn it, quickly stop him. The eldest Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor was so angry that his eyes were about to crack. You are just a lowly human. Who gave you the courage to break through to Martial Emperor? What qualifications do you have to break through to Martial Emperor? The eyes of the second Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor flashed with shocking killing intent. The 2 Tiger Race Martial Emperors were still a step too late. By the time they arrived at Yi Fei's seclusion grounds, the 9 domains had already transformed into resplendent stars of divine light. They merged into Yi Fei's body and began to break through the martial arts barrier. This immediately caused them to fall into an incomparable rage. Tiger's roar. The 2 martial emperors of the tiger race roared at the same time and used their strongest immemorial heavenly skills. Their huge tiger palms formed 2 huge mountain peaks that shattered mountains and rivers and shook the 8 desolate. The mighty Emperor aura enveloped the entire War Soul Canyon. No one knew how many vengeful spirits and bone demons were trapped in this incomparably terrifying Emperor aura. Under the might, his body was crushed and his bones shattered, vanishing into thin air. This was the terror of a martial emperor expert. If one did not become a martial emperor, one would not be able to understand the power and terror of a martial emperor that could control mountains and rivers and destroy the world. Just the emperor's might of the 2 tiger race martial emperors caused many cultivators who released their spiritual senses to suffer severe injuries. They clutched their heads and screamed miserably. Heavens, the tiger race martial emperors are too powerful. They are truly enraged. It's over. Yi Fei is completely finished. Even if he is a peerless demon, facing 2 martial emperors, I'm afraid he will be killed by the martial emperors before he can cross the tribulation. Look, Yi Fei is moving. Heavens, he directly triggered the martial emperor tribulation. He is crazy. At the peak of the mountain, facing the all-out attacks of the 2 martial emperors of the tiger race, Yi Fei did not attack. Instead, he fiercely borrowed the divine power produced by the domains and resolutely broke through the invisible martial arts barrier in his body, instantly stepping into the martial emperor realm. Immediately, the world shook and the entire War Soul Canyon shook. At the end of the void, the heavenly Tao sensed it and opened a mysterious eye at this moment. It was the eye of the heavenly Tao. Only when a cultivator broke through to the martial emperor realm would they attract the attention of the heavenly Tao. When the heavenly Tao saw that the person undergoing the tribulation was Yi Fei, the person who had been abandoned by the heavens. Even if the heavenly Tao was heartless, all the cultivators present seemed to be able to feel the extreme anger hidden in the rumbling of the heavenly Tao. Then, an endless sea of lightning instantly covered the entire sky and earth, except for the War Soul City. Suddenly, layers of martial god restrictions erupted to protect the War Soul City from being affected by the heavenly tribulation. The outside of the War Soul City had turned into a sea of lightning. In this sea, the immemorial heavenly skills of the 2 tiger race martial emperors seemed so small. They only had time to raise a few thousand meters tall wave of lightning. Then, they saw something that made their scalps tingle. What was gradually condensing in the vortex of the eye of the heavenly tribulation was actually not the lightning of the martial emperor tribulation. Instead, it was the incomparably huge Thunderbolt Mountain. The eyes of the tiger race's eldest were bloodshot. Thunderbolt Mountain, it's actually Thunderbolt Mountain. How many sins has this kid committed to trigger such a terrifying martial emperor tribulation? Eldest brother, quickly kill him. You must kill him. Otherwise, we will all be in danger. When the tiger race's second eldest saw the thunderbolt mountain slowly condensing, even if he was a martial emperor, he was so frightened that his legs went soft. The power of Yi Fei's martial emperor tribulation was simply too exaggerated. When other martial emperors underwent their tribulations, the lightning pillars condensed were at most as thick as a water tank. However, the one condensing at the end of the void was no longer a lightning pillar. It was clearly a terrifying mountain formed by endless lightning. Generally, only martial gods could encounter such a terrifying heavenly tribulation during their second tribulation. When he saw the eye of the heavenly tribulation slowly condensing and firmly locking onto him, Yi Fei began to feel bitter in his mouth. He had the urge to point at the sky and curse the earth. Damned heavenly Tao, even if I'm a person abandoned by the heavens and you don't like me, you don't have to create such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. How is this a tribulation? It's clearly trying to kill me. Yi Fei's face was filled with anger. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. It was one thing for the two tiger race martial emperors to hunt him down, but even the heavenly Tao wanted to purposely prank him by sending down such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. Kill. Yi Fei made up his mind. He simply couldn't be bothered with the thunderbolt mountain that was slowly condensing. He braved the boundless sea of lightning and charged madly at the tiger race's eldest. Brat, I think you're courting death. The tiger race's eldest was enraged. He was a martial emperor after all. Although he was shocked by the abnormal power of Yi Fei's heavenly tribulation, he still chose to immediately charge forward and fight Yi Fei. Roar. When the tiger race's second eldest saw the tiger race's eldest make a move, he immediately roared and transformed into a multicolored divine tiger again. Clearly, compared to letting Yi Fei be struck to death by the heavenly tribulation, they were more willing to enjoy the feeling of tearing Yi Fei apart with their own hand. Humph, we don't know who's courting death. Take this, 8-level heavenly dragon. Kill. Yi Fei didn't care about the second eldest's attack. Instead, he ignited his bloodline divine armor and charged directly at the tiger race's eldest. Chapter 1774. Tiger Fighting the 8 Desolations. There was another earth-shattering roar. The roar came from the mouth of the second brother of the tiger tribe. He waved his huge tiger paw, controlling the universe and drawing upon the power of heaven and earth. The boundless sea of lightning surged, forming countless waves of lightning. Then, these waves turned into golden lightning swords under the control of the second brother of the tiger tribe. They whistled and attacked Yi Fei from all directions. In an instant, they shattered Yi Fei's bloodline divine armor. However, the bloodline divine armor managed to block the second brother's attack before it shattered. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Fei successfully rushed to the front of the eldest brother of the tiger tribe. The 8 extreme heavenly dragons shot out in an instant, forming 8 different trigrams. They were like 8 dazzling worlds that suppressed time and space and shattered the eldest brother's tiger roaring mountains and rivers. How is this possible? You can actually control 5 immemorial heavenly skills at the same time. The eldest brother of the tiger tribe was horrified. He had already overestimated Yi Fei. However, when Yi Fei really used the 8 extreme heavenly dragon, he still felt a great fear in his heart. After Yi Fei stepped into the martial emperor realm, the 8 extreme heavenly dragon had become even more terrifying. Its power had increased from 4 immemorial heavenly skills to 5 immemorial heavenly skills. Rumble! As the 8 extreme heavenly dragon shot out, the heavenly saint demonic art, Azura divine fist, dragon suppressing the 9 heavens, heavenly cauldron suppressing the gods and Yi Fei's Tai Chi sword principle were all shot out at the same time. Although the eldest brother of the tiger tribe tried his best to resist, his huge tiger body was beaten into a bloody mess. He could not help but let out a miserable shriek. Cries. All the martial artists who saw this scene with their divine senses were all shocked. Although Yi Fei had stepped into the martial emperor realm, he had not passed the martial emperor tribulation. His realm was not stable yet. Even so, Yi Fei still managed to beat the eldest brother of the tiger tribe, a true martial emperor, with his own strength. If Yi Fei successfully passed the martial emperor tribulation and stabilized his realm, how terrifying would Yi Fei's combat strength be? Such a demonic genius should not die at the hands of the tiger tribe. He should go to the human race's impregnable pass and fight to protect the human race. That's right, the tiger tribe is too much. Are you not afraid that the human race's experts will pursue you? Roar. What answered the many cultivators was the two tiger race martial emperors' furious roars. All of you, shut up for this old man. He is a wanted criminal of the god of Heaven Hall and a spy of the shaman tribe. Whoever kills him will be rewarded by the god of Heaven Hall. Everyone, follow us and kill this spy. Realizing that the two of them could no longer suppress Yi Fei, the tiger race's leader's eyes flashed with cunningness and hatred. Not only did he accuse Yi Fei of being a spy, he even tried to mobilize the strong heaven-grade quasi-emperors of Fighting Spirit City to surround and kill Yi Fei. Upon hearing this, many quasi-emperors of other races became restless. Yi. Of the marshals. The marshals marshal. Stop them! That's right, we can't stop the marshal, but we can work together to stop the other martial emperors. Someone shouted. Suddenly, all the martial emperors in the Fighting Spirit City were enraged. They felt that the tiger tribe had gone too far this time. However, before they could do anything, rumble. Heaven and earth shook. The heavenly Tao was furious. At the end of the void, the huge Thunderbolt Mountain was fully formed. It seemed to have gathered all the power of the heavenly tribulation. At this moment, it carried a supreme power that could destroy heaven and earth. It suddenly flew out from the void like a divine mountain, crushing Yi Fei and every inch of space in the Fighting Spirit Canyon. At this moment, the martial emperors in the Fighting Spirit City turned pale and their hearts trembled when they sensed the aura of the Thunderbolt Mountain, let alone entering the canyon. Heavens, this is the divine mountain tribulation. Damn it, how could we forget that he was abandoned by the heavens? Once he goes through the tribulation, it will definitely be earth-shattering. The two martial emperors from the tiger tribe also turned pale. This divine mountain tribulation was really too terrifying. Although there was only one divine mountain, it was a huge mountain that covered the entire canyon. Even if a martial emperor was hit by such a divine mountain, his bones would definitely be broken and he would die a miserable death. At this critical moment of life and death, the two martial emperors of the Tiger Clan could not care less about killing Yi Fei. They only used all their strength and joined forces with each other in an attempt to resist the descent of the sacred mountain and escape the range of this heavenly tribulation. Where are you going? Didn't you want to kill me? Now I'll give you a chance. Let's go through the tribulation together and see who dies first. Kill. When the divine mountain fell from the void, Yi Fei felt his scalp go numb and his heart tremble. However, he did not retreat. He would have to face the martial emperor tribulation sooner or later anyway. Instead of facing it alone, he might as well drag the two martial emperors with him and risk their lives together. If he did not die, he would be lucky. If he died, he would have two martial emperors to take the fall. 8th-level Heavenly Dragon. After stepping into the martial emperor realm, Yi Fei's true origin became even more vigorous. It changed from a river to an ocean. This also gave him more and stronger ability to control many immemorial heavenly skills. In order to keep the two martial emperors from the tiger tribe here, Yi Fei made up his mind and released two immemorial heavenly skills in one go. 8th-level Heavenly Dragon. Then, Yi Fei saw a huge divine mountain that covered the sky and the sun. It crushed down on him with a force that could destroy everything. Ah, Demon Yi, you will die a horrible death. We won't let you off even if we become ghosts. Under the obstruction of the 8th-level Heavenly Dragon, the two martial emperors from the Tiger tribe had no chance of escaping the divine mountain. Their eyes were red as they cursed and roared. They were forced to work together and attack the divine mountain. Unknowingly, they also helped Yi Fei share a lot of the pressure of the heavenly tribulation. This was the effect that Yi Fei needed. It would be very difficult for him to face such a terrifying martial emperor tribulation alone. However, with the help of the two martial emperors, the pressure of the heavenly tribulation would be reduced by a lot. Moreover, Yi Fei had an advantage that the martial emperors from the Tiger tribe did not have. He had the undying sword soul that could absorb the heavenly tribulation. Undying sword soul, wake up! Yi Fei roared in his heart. At this critical moment, there was no need for him to hide. Immediately, the undying sword soul was awakened and formed a terrifying vortex of destruction. Then, Yi Fei raised the limitless sword like a bright star and turned around. He crashed into the divine mountain at an extremely fast speed. Boom! At this moment, even the divine mountain that was formed by the heavenly Tao shook slightly. The two martial emperors from the Tiger tribe looked at Yi Fei in shock. He had crashed through the divine mountain and rushed into the interior of the divine mountain. He sat down cross-legged like an old monk. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.